Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
It is Westwood One Sports Night. We're with you until 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for starting your weekend with us. And there are two massive spotlight games that highlight the next couple of days. Duke, Michigan, and college basketball. Two of the three best teams in America meeting in our nation's capital. Plus the gold medal men's hockey matchup in Milan between the United States and Canada. That is Sunday morning at 8:10 Eastern Time. That'll start. But before we get into both of those games, we start with a headline in the NFL. Kenneth Walker not expected to be receiving a franchise tag from the champion Seattle Seahawks. Here's what's interesting. Never did I think when I moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where this show is originating from, 2018, and saw that there was this underclassman running back struggling to get playing time at Wake Forest University. Never did I think that Kenneth Walker would be a Heisman candidate at Michigan State a few years later, get to the NFL, and win Super Bowl MVP years later for the Seahawks against the New England Patriots in Santa Clara. Didn't quite see that in the cards when I met a young Kenneth Walker in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, close to a decade ago. But here we are, and now Kenneth Walker, rightfully, should be looking to cash in. You just shouldn't expect that cashing in is going to be with the Seattle Seahawks. They're not giving him the franchise tag because they have larger free agent priorities than signing him. If the lens you consume the NFL is through fantasy football or through sports betting or watching Red Zone, and that's how you consume the sport, you might think, other than a quarterback, what other priority could be greater than signing your Super Bowl MVP running back? If this was 1992, you might have that same frame of thought. But the way we look at the game, it's changed. What we value in the sport changes. And certainly the way the front offices across the league look at it, especially smart ones, such as the one led by John Schneider in Seattle, how they look at it as well. This is a team, Seattle, that has a ton of impending free agents. They got to make some difficult decisions. For example, other than Witherspoon and Emmanuel, almost the entire secondary needs re-signing. Josh Jobe, Reek Woolen, Ty Okada as a depth player, all impending free agents. At linebacker, Drake Thomas, who's a starter. It's also hard to find good O-line depth. That's not a position you find good players available to you. Josh Jones stepped in and was pretty darn good for Seattle. They're going to want to keep him. He's a free agent. How important was Rashid Shaheed to Seattle post-trade deadline? What he brought to special teams, what he brought in terms of explosive plays. Free agent. Jake Bobo, free agent. You're going to want to keep one of those two guys, you'd think. This is a salary cap sport. You can't just make roster management decisions based on, you like a guy. You can't, this isn't baseball where you could just buy everyone as the Dodgers do or overpay even for 1 year with the tag. Not when you have so many other positions to address. And in this sport, you have to make roster management decisions based on positional value, and that's why Kenneth Walker isn't being handed the franchise tag. The reality is that Seattle really likes Zach Charbonnet. Hurt down the stretch, didn't play in the Super Bowl. And Zach Charbonnet is under contract. Also, Kenneth Walker, he's in a position where he wants to get paid. So if he wants to test the market and Seattle doesn't want to overpay for 1 year with the franchise tag because they have all these other guys they're trying to sign, it's going to be very hard to expect Seattle to compete with other teams in terms of the value they'd attach to Kenneth Walker, what they're willing to pay. So they might go to, if Kenneth Walker is the top tier running back available on the market, then they might be shopping one tier down. You know how you go to the grocery store and you don't want this name brand, so you just go with whatever the store brand is? That might be what Seattle's looking for since they already have Charbonnet. Looking at a Rico Dowdle or a Javonte Williams, maybe a Travis Etienne if he's not too pricey. You could even take a flyer on Najee Harris or Austin Eckler or J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Gainwell. If you like, you are the champs. Thus, guys might be more incentivized to sign with you than they otherwise would be because they want a ring. They want to win. You might even get a discount for one of these guys. Maybe. For Kenneth Walker, this isn't a guy looking for a discount. He's had to fight and claw for everything in his career. From being at Wake Forest after being overlooked, not a highly recruited kid out of Tennessee, gets to Michigan State, needed to blow up there just to get noticed and drafted, wasn't a top draft pick, fights his way up the depth chart, not being paid a ton. Now's the time where he's looking to get paid. Understandably so. So who are the teams that might be willing to pay Kenneth Walker? 3 come to mind. The Tennessee Titans. Young quarterback, tons of cap space, already an exciting offseason for Tennessee. Brian Daboll, early on in his tenure with the Giants, did pretty well. Saquon Barkley with some really good seasons. So if you want to be utilized correctly, Brian Daboll is an accomplished play caller, an accomplished OC. The Bills, when he was in Buffalo, really good at running it as well. And as mentioned, Kenneth Walker is a Tennessee native. This is the part where we remind people that Denton Day is the producer of this program. He's based in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. The Washington Commanders make a ton of sense. Another team looking to capitalize while their quarterback's on a rookie deal. Eckler, if he's gone, he'd be the lead back. Who else would even be in that conversation, Denton? Would it be Rodriguez, maybe? And you'd start Kenneth Walker.
Bill. Jacory Cross-Camara, the legend.
Apologies. So I think Kenneth Walker might fit in nicely in the district. And then this isn't a fun thing to say for Kenneth Walker, but it has to at least be considered: the New York Jets. If Breece Hall leaves, the Jets might do the most Jets thing ever and completely overpay for a name at a skill position that just won the Super Bowl MVP. And if you're Kenneth Walker, you might be looking to get that giant payday because you just won the Super Bowl. You just won the Super Bowl. Hey, you achieved that. Now let's go to the place that will pay the most. And that might be the New York Jets, even if you're not going to win much of anything. But we'll put it to you guys. 310-840-4910. Where do you see Kenneth Walker playing next season? 310-840-4910 if you want in. Oliver taking your phone calls at 310-840-4910. This is his first free-for-all Friday. Midnight to 1 a.m., where you get to steer the ship. You tell us what direction we should be heading in, or the topic we don't spend nearly enough time talking about. Free-for-all Friday, midnight to 1 a.m. We'll see if Oliver's ready for it. 310-840-4910. D-Day, what is Oliver getting himself into?
Lots of fun, which is what we're all here for, right? We want fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be madness, but it's going to be fun.
Don't cuss. That's the message on the front end. There's the pregame pep talk. Don't cuss. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. D-Day is going to be in the building for Duke, Michigan, Cap One Arena, Saturday night. 2 top 3 teams meeting. The top 4 teams in the country are playing each other. Personally, really like Houston's chances of beating Arizona tomorrow. Like Arizona, or like Houston to win that basketball game against the Wildcats. And as for Duke, Michigan, this is going to be a fabulous basketball game. It might be the game of the year in college hoops. The get-in price is close to $350. And the folks in D.C. are saying that is the highest get-in price we've seen in the history of that building. It's been around a while for a basketball game. A lot of hype surrounding Duke, Michigan. In terms of who wins it, this is a matchup between the number 1 and number 2 top defensive teams in college basketball, according to Ken Pom. Which defense is going to be stronger? The answer is Duke. Duke's defense will be the difference in a potential national championship preview. That's why the Blue Devils are going to win this game. For all the talent Michigan has in its front court, guards win in March. Guards win top flight games. And it's point guard Elliot Cadeau that is the X factor Saturday night. If Elliot Cadeau plays well, Michigan's going to win. If he doesn't, Duke's going to win. And you should expect John Shire is going to have Elliot Cadeau in hell. Just like he did last year. When Elliot Cadeau played for North Carolina, they visited Cameron. And Cadeau had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 turnovers in the first half of that game. And we looked up at the scoreboard at one point, and it read Duke leading North Carolina by 25 in the first half. The Tar Heels, with Cadeau, went 0-3 against the Blue Devils. Duke is the best defense that Cadeau has faced this year. The next best defense that they faced, a top 5 defense from Nebraska. How did Cadeau do when facing Nebraska? Glad you asked. He had a career-high 8 turnovers. Career worse. 8 turnovers. This is his 3rd year playing significant minutes. Never had more turnovers than he did against Nebraska. Michigan won that game by 2 at home while the Huskers were missing 2 starters. That was the best defensive team that Cadeau's faced this year. 8 turnovers, more than he's ever had in a college game. Now he's facing Duke, who he's had nightmare games against. Cadeau also had at least 4 giveaways in 2 of the last 3 games for Michigan. So expect Duke Jr. Caleb Foster to be hounding him, to be a regular pest in this game. Stylistically, Michigan might have more issues with Duke than vice versa. Other than Gonzaga, Michigan, they really haven't faced elite non-conference competition this year. It's not really their fault. Wake Forest just didn't turn out to be any good. Auburn, the same way. TCU, these are not tournament teams. So when Duke tries to play tempo, which is a lot different than, what they're accustomed to seeing in the grinded out Big Ten, stylistically, how the Big Ten generally plays, how you have to play to win in that league. It might be an adjustment for their defense. So watch out for Isaiah Evans in transition or Cam Boozer's passing ability, not just his scoring, his passing, Pat Gamba's athleticism. Meanwhile, if you want to talk about being tested in different ways, Duke has seen a variation of styles from a strong non-conference schedule. They've played and beat Florida. They played and beat Arkansas. They went to East Lansing, beat Michigan State. They also faced Texas Tech. They led by 17 points, didn't hold on to win that game, but had success at MSG against Texas Tech. So in the end, Duke is going to win the game because that also tracks with the central storyline of this college basketball season. If you're just parachuting in now because March is approaching, last year there were practically no upsets in the NCAA tournament. There was one dominant conference. 14 of the 16 teams from the SEC got in, and there were just 4 teams really capable of winning a title. The number 1 seeds all went to the Final Four. That's not the story this year. There isn't an overwhelming team this year, albeit if Michigan wins Saturday night, that's exactly how they should be viewed, as the best team in the sport, head and shoulders above the next group of teams. But when Duke wins, how crazy of a stat is this Denton Day? If Duke beats Michigan Saturday night, the entire top 10 in the AP top 25, or the entire top 10 in the AP poll, every one of the 10 teams will have suffered at least one loss in the last 2 weeks. All 10 teams that are currently ranked there. It's about to be a crazy March, and a Duke win would track with what we've seen up to this point. Our guest today, Ariel Epstein, the prop queen, going to be joining us at around 1 a.m. We mentioned the fact that we have Free for All Friday as well. So much fun that we have in store for you. But we mentioned there were 2 mega heavyweight games this weekend. We just hit on the college basketball side. How about the international clash in Milan between the United States and Canada? That's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
The Seahawks aren't expected to place the franchise tag on Kenneth Walker. Could the Super Bowl MVP be on another team next season? Get ready. The free agent frenzy is coming on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
The United States handling its business against Canada or against, pardon me, the Slovaks earlier today, handling their business by a wide margin. They now get set for Canada Sunday. But that might have been, that Freudian slip might have actually been foreshadowing for what's happening Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're on the West Coast, make sure you're up early, bright and early, ready to go, and to support the red, white, and blue. We are taking your calls. Free for All Friday coming at the start of the next hour, midnight to 1 a.m., 1 hour each week for you to steer the ship in whatever direction you please. 310-840-4910. You could also tell us where you see Kenneth Walker playing football this next season at 310-840-4910. USA-Canada for the men's hockey gold medal will be the signature event of these Milan Winter Olympics. We are going to remember this game most, one way or another, when we think about these Olympics years from now, decades from now. With NHL players participating, the level of play has heightened significantly. So has the star power. Think about it. These are the two rosters that have the most stars on them. Connor McDavid and Nate McKinnon against Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, and the Kachucks. They each have some injury concerns as well. Sidney Crosby missed today's game for Canada. Tage Thompson, the Sabres, he opened scoring for the USA, didn't return for the third period. D-Day, didn't see an update on that after the game. See if anything was said about Thompson's status for Sunday. Will they be able to keep Sidney Crosby off the ice? We don't know. Wonder how the Pittsburgh Penguins feel about it. Maybe he can miss the gold medal game. By the way, if you're wondering, the reason this is set for 8:10 in the morning Sunday, while most of the games we've seen the United States play in have been around 1 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon today, it's because this is literally the final event of the Milan Olympics. The closing ceremonies is just a few hours after this game ends. So it's the headliner, and Milan knows it. That's why it's set here to cap the entire Olympic Games. If history is any indicator, this should be an incredible gold medal match. The last time the United States faced Canada, it was last year's Four Nations face-off. After the Americans won a slugfest, you might remember, tons of actual fights breaking out during this air quote exhibition event, the Canadians got the last laugh. They won the championship rematch. It went to overtime, of course. Connor McDavid, of course, scored the winner. You could not have scripted it better, creating a new event, than having the players care so much that they fight, have patriotism be at the root of it, having the championship be between those two squads, it go to overtime, and the biggest star in the NHL currently score the game winner. The last time NHL players were in the Olympics, it was 2010. The United States met Canada in the gold medal game, and it was an epic finish. Zach Parise knotted up the game late. Then Sidney Crosby won the gold medal with an overtime winner. In terms of some facts surrounding this game, some of the setting of the scene, if you will, the Americans are seeking their first gold medal since the Miracle on Ice in 1980. The date of that win, the date of the upset of the Russians. That was the semifinal. They went on to beat Finland in the gold medal match. February 22nd, 1980 is when the United States upset the Russians. Sunday is going to mark the 46th anniversary of that iconic win. This is the third time the U.S. has met the Canadians since in the gold medal game, 2002, 2010, now in 2026. And the United States, they're going to win. You know what, Oliver? Cue up the Freebird. Fire it up. Because the United States, they're going to get this done. This isn't a homer pick. After a hot start, the Canadians, they've been the ones, not America, that's flirted with losses 3 straight one-score games. That includes the last 2 going to overtime. How have the Americans looked this week, though? Riddle me that. The United States has won its last 4 games by a combined margin of 18-4. They won by a slew of goals today. Plus, Sidney Crosby's absence. That's a bit concerning. The U.S. also has a clear goaltending edge in this game. Hellebuck over Bennington. We like the United States to take down the Canadians. There you go. You can't call it a homer pick. Well, you can. The United States, they're going to figure it out. You know what? 310-840-4910. What's your favorite thing about America that Canada doesn't have? 310-840-4910. Your favorite thing about America that Canada doesn't have? First thing that comes to mind is college basketball. Don't think that Canada has that. We've got college basketball. That's pretty cool. 310-840-4910 if you want in. We're also streaming live video on YouTube and on X at Josh Graham Show. Westwood One Sports Night. You can find us on YouTube, however, and wherever you're listening or watching. We greatly appreciate that. Really quickly, getting into the night in hoops, there are two games we need to talk about. The game of the night in the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets facing the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland wins 118-113. 58 combined points between Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. Detroit has the best record in the East right now, and Detroit handled the Knicks last night. But Cleveland, right there. It's going to be a battle. It's right now a logjam, 2 through 4 between Cleveland, Boston, and the Knicks. The top 4 in the East seem to be the teams that can get to the finals. Don't think there's a wild card beyond that. Looking at Orlando or looking at Atlanta or even taking a look at the Toronto Raptors, those are the 4 contenders to potentially get to an NBA Finals. Cleveland has looked great ever since trading for James Harden and for Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder. Charlotte, on the other hand, has lost more games in the last 2 nights, losing to Houston last night and tonight to Cleveland, than it lost in the prior month leading up to last night. Let's say that again. Charlotte's lost more games the last 2 nights than it lost in the month prior. The Hornets wasted a 33-point Concacaf outing tonight. LaMelo Ball atrocious in this game. It's not been a terrific week for LaMelo Ball, to put it charitably. He's fully responsible for a car accident, leaving more injuries to the person he hit than he sustained himself. Gets out of the car and immediately into a Lamborghini, able to play in the game that night. When he's asked about it after the game, he pulls a Cam Newton from after the Super Bowl 10 years ago and just walks out of the room. D-Day, what was the highlight of that video to you? Was it him parachuting out, looking annoyed when asked the question? Him, it seems, pulling his shorts even further down than they were before, where you could see more than half of the underwear that he was wearing, or the face? Shout out to my guy, Brian Travis, the PR guy for the Hornets, where you could see his face. And if you just look at the face of the guy who was holding the door for LaMelo Ball when he left, you could see on Brian's face, oh my God, this is going to be something we have to deal with.
Well, first of all, I thought you were going to say anus instead of underwear. I thought that would have been funny. I can't criticize him for that, Josh, because you are going to learn in the next 10 to 15 seconds your boy sagged in high school. It was a phase, shouldn't have done it, did it, went way too far. I would often wear shorts underneath of my shorts so I could sag, and then when a teacher said, Denton, we can see your underwear, I could say, no, you don't. You see gym shorts, thinking that would work. It never did. So I can't get mad at him for that. I think my favorite part was him not expecting that question to be asked, because he left like he thought he was above that particular question. Like, buddy, we got videos from 6 different angles. That question is going to be asked, and he was completely clueless to that.
Yeah. LaMelo Ball, not great. D-Day sagging, though. See, that was still at the point where it was cool to do so, I think. Don't know when you graduated high school, but I'm imagining, like, you still look at the NBA in the late 2000s, and you look at how baggy the shorts were for the Redeem team in 2008, for example. It was still pretty cool to do that, and those pants a lot easier to sag than what LaMelo was wearing last night.
Let's make one thing clear. Suburban white kid should not be sagging. And that's what I was doing. That was on me. That's on me.
Okay. Glad you have that level of self-awareness and accountability. We appreciate that. Believe it or not, that wasn't even the biggest basketball game involving an Ohio team tonight. The Cavaliers win over the Charlotte Hornets. Miami of Ohio improved to 27-0 out of the MAC. They beat Bowling Green. The Red Hawks, ranked 22nd in the country. You get 31 games in the regular season in college hoops. It's likely going to come down. This is going to be fun. Their finale, like the teams they play the next 3 games, they're not that good. They're not the best that the MAC has to offer. Toledo's okay, but it's at Miami of Ohio. They're going to win the next 3 games. They're going to be 30-0. It's going to come down to playing a decent Ohio University team in the college town of Athens, Ohio. This is your biggest rival with the chance to go 31-0. That's going to be fun. If Miami of Ohio finishes the regular season unbeaten and the first loss they take on the year is in the conference tournament in the MAC, don't forget, that's a bid stealer if you're ever going to see it, because you're not leaving Miami of Ohio out with just 1 loss on the year if they're unbeaten in the regular season. And then you obviously have the automatic bid for whoever then would win the MAC. So something to keep an eye on if your favorite team happens to be on the bubble. Believe it or not, Team USA's semifinal win wasn't the sports highlight of the day, though. Neither were those 2 basketball games that we just noted. We'll tell you what was the highlight of the day next on Westwood One Sports Night.
The Colts have a QB decision to make. Cut, trade, or keep Anthony Richardson. Will the former number 3 overall pick be looking for a new home? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Free for All Friday, 20 minutes away, where you could steer the ship in whatever direction you please. Select whatever menu item on the sports menu you want. 310-840-4910. But we did ask this question in the context of USA beating Canada Sunday in that gold medal game. What does the Americans have? What does America have that Canada doesn't? 310-840-4910. Mike in Chicago has the answer. Mike, welcome to Westwood One Sports Night. What do we have that the Canadians don't?
Hey, first off, shout out Black and Abdallah. Great stuff. Hey,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's what the U.S. has that Canada doesn't have. We have a set of balls. You look at four nations last year. Who was the aggressor? Who was going after everything? The U.S. Canada is America's hat. We have a set of balls. Canada does not. Bring home the gold. Let's go.
There you go, Mike in Chicago. And quite literally, the Americans have balls. They got pucks in Canada. That's kind of how that works. Yes, shout out to Black and Abdallah as well. In fact, I'm going to be a weekly guest on Black and Abdallah through the end of college basketball season, talking hoop. So those guys do a fabulous job during the day, based in Chi-Town, as that caller was. 310-840-4910. It wasn't Team USA's win over the Slovaks today that was the highlight in sports, though, on this Friday. It wasn't that. No, the start of spring training baseball was. Especially since the first game featured my Baltimore Orioles against the New York Yankees. I don't care that it's February and it's Grapefruit League action. When the Birds beat the Yankees, all is good, especially when they win due to their largest offseason acquisition doing this. We're not going to talk about how the Orioles announced that an all-star caliber infielder, Jordan Westburg, is going to be out for the next few months. First it was an oblique, and then now it's his elbow. And we're not going to talk about that. And we can ignore all the negative vibes with labor talk in baseball, too. No! Instead, we're going to talk about spring training and The World Baseball Classic around the corner, and we're less than a month and a week away from the regular season starting, and that's all good. What isn't all good? What's been going on in Lawrence, Kansas this basketball season regarding one of the biggest stars this season. It's time for Darren Peterson to speak for himself. Bill Self is being put as a Hall of Fame national championship winning coach, twice national championship winning coach, in an impossible position. He's clearly not in control of this situation. Peterson appeared to pull himself out of the last game. Bill Self said afterwards that he thought DP was fine. Today, Bill Self, he sounded almost defeated when offering the latest on this subject. Here he was meeting with reporters this afternoon. To Bill Self's defense, what is he supposed to say? He clearly doesn't know what's up. Clearly. We heard him the other night. Thought he was good. Yet he's only playing in 18 minutes. He could have had a much bigger night. Seems to be more and more frustrated. Kansas hosts Cincinnati at Fog Allen on Saturday. But this is the part that is most infuriating. That honestly should be getting more run than it is. More pressure should be applied here than is currently being applied. According to X, and just combing through social media, YouTube, even did an AI search to try to nail this down, Darren Peterson has been made available to the media just one time during the entire season. That was after a home win against Iowa State, January 13th. That's the only time he's ever had to answer any questions on any topic. And it was right after a game where it's kind of unspoken. And sometimes, yes, spoken out loud. Oh, you don't ask about off-court things after the game. You just talk about the game. But he's not even talking after games. He has spoken with the media one time since Big 12 Media Days. So, here's the question. If he's not really playing for you as much as you thought he was going to, and he's not doing media to promote your school, even though you thought what you're paying for is a massive brand. Hey, this guy's a great player who's going to help elevate the brand of Kansas. What is the $3 million that you're paying him exactly for? He is, bare roots level, getting paid to represent KU, Kansas. And if he's trying to get ready for the NBA, see, this is what college basketball is supposed to be about, getting guys ready for the NBA. You're not going to be able to hide from the media for an entire season in the league. You're just not able to do that. It also leads you to believe, if Bill Self can't defend this, and Darren Peterson refuses to defend himself, maybe it's because what we're looking at here is indefensible. And if they don't try to defend it, then they're the reasons why. They are the reason we have to speculate. They force us to speculate and then complain about us speculating when they refuse to clear things up. And if Darren Peterson wanted to clear it up, if this really did bother him, or if he feels he's being aggrieved or misrepresented and all the like, he can fix this tomorrow. He can fix this in a snap by just telling us what's up and answering some questions. Don't blame his inner circle. That's what we did early on in the year. Oh, well, he's just got so many people around him who might be giving him bad information. Oh, maybe it's like family that's playing a role in this. We like to do this with players. We like to protect them and say, no. In college, it's the inner circle. It's the enablers at Kansas. Darren Peterson deserves all the criticism for this. If these guys want to be paid like professional athletes, and they are, they need to be made available like professional athletes, and they deserve criticism like the pros get as well. They should answer questions like the pros do. See, when it was cramping early in the year, and it was during non-conference play, it was an acceptable course of logic to say, hey, take it easy with them. You want Darren Peterson to be ready for your most important games of the year because you're trying to win the Big 12. You're trying to win a national championship. In the non-conference games, grand scheme of things, that's not going to matter so much. But after the last few weeks, it's soured. It's gone up a few levels in terms of sounding alarms and there being red flags, bailing during pregame warm-ups, saying you feel a little sick when number 1 Arizona's at Fog Allen, calling for himself to be removed from a game earlier this week. That's all Darren Peterson. Nobody else is to blame. And the next step, given that Bill Self's rhetoric is starting to ramp up after the game earlier this week, and then right there, hey, one way you can fix it is just by playing. The next step for Bill Self, and really the only card left for Bill Self to play, is to say, next time he's asked about Darren Peterson, and Darren Peterson pulls one of these things, is to say, you guys ask him. I don't know. You guys ask him. And the reason why he probably won't resort to that is because he knows we can't. And he's not being made available. And ask yourself, if you want to be a Darren Peterson defender, ask yourself why that is. Why he wouldn't want to just clear this up. Why we don't hear the guy speak versus any of the other stars that we see in college basketball. Caleb Wilson available after every game. Cam Boozer available. AJ DeBonce is all over the place. And we don't hear Darren Peterson. We don't hear him speak. We don't hear him talk. Again, you could probably chalk up his actions, what he's doing on the court, and now this, his frame of thought, you can file it to, this is a player who's trying to do the absolute bare minimum in college basketball and get to the NBA as soon as he can. And when there are options that are comparable to Darren Peterson available, if you're an NBA team, that should be alarming to you. It should be alarming to you if you have the option between Darren Peterson and, say, AJ DeBonce, or even Caleb Wilson, assuming he comes back healthy from his fractured hand. But it's time for Darren Peterson to speak. Stop making poor Bill Self. Stop trotting him out there in an impossible position. It's time for Darren Peterson to pipe up and for him to be made available. That is nuts. What is, based on the crack research I've done today, what's a crazier stat for you, D-Day? The fact that Darren Peterson's only met with the media one time this entire season, or that if Michigan loses to Duke tomorrow, every team that's currently ranked in the top 10 will have lost in the last 2 weeks?
Definitely the Darren Peterson thing. I had not
Once.
I did not know it was one time. Because
I've combed the entire internet.
When we went to Duke UNC 2 weeks ago, Caleb Wilson was chilling. But he was just sitting. He was posted up.
A dazzled
and it was funny.
belt.
The SID said, "Hey, you get 5 minutes with him." It was 5 minutes capable. He was there for like 20 minutes. Now, granted, they won, so it's a lot easier to do that when they win. But that's just crazy to me.
They win a lot at Kansas too. So it's weird. All of this is weird. And that's the man that the question should be directed towards, not the Hall of Fame coach. Coming up, Free for All Friday begins. Steer the ship, 310-840-4910. Plus, I'll do my best Kendrick Lamar impression. Keep it tuned to Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
We got Allen in Toronto. Is Allen going to want to defend his nation, or does he want to talk about the Pistons? He wants to talk about the Pistons. I'm hot.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Do you have a preferred choice of music for this hour?
Yes. Is my mic still hot?
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Free for all Friday. Let the Jimmy Buffett play. In all sincerity, Oliver, it's your first free for all Friday. Let it play. Let it go.
I'll let it rock.
No doubt. Get me a margarita. We've learned that in some tropical place, it actually is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 5 o'clock somewhere, as a wise man once surmised. Jimmy Buffett was on that song, but I think it was actually Alan Jackson that said those words. 310-840-4910. You steer the ship. You tell us where we're headed. 1 hour only each week. You make it happen. And let's start with Johnny in Atlanta. Johnny, show everybody how it's done. You're our first caller on Free for All Friday. Where are you steering the ship to kick things off?
What's going on, Graham? I'm going to kick it out with the craziest stuff. 3 craziest things I heard this week in sports. First, how can you get traded by a team, traded by another team, cut and sign with the same team you got traded the first time? Mike Conley, that was the craziest trip I ever heard. Like, come on. How you get traded twice and cut and sign with a team that traded the first time? The second
Nuts.
one is the person.
Can I tell you? Oh, by the way, before you get to your second one, I'll set you up for each one of these. The first one with Mike Conley. I saw a Mike Conley stat this week that I couldn't believe. Mike Conley has been in the NBA forever. And do you know something that has never happened in Mike Conley's career? He's never been called for a technical. 17 years in the league, never once received a technical foul.
That's a stat. I don't know.
That's what I'm here for. All right, give me the second craziest thing you heard in sports, or I guess the third, if that was the second craziest thing, that Mike Conley's never been called for a tech.
Okay. The second one is what you got to talking about, Darren Peterson. I never seen nobody point to the coach like, hey, check me out. Come on, are you coaching the team? Like, dude, his stock rating should drop just because that. Even though I say Caleb Wilson is the best one, I hope my Pacers got him. But the posse, Peterson, he's looking bad right now.
Are you saying Caleb Wilson's the best to get because he's from Atlanta? I'm just curious. I think he's better than Darren Peterson too, but I don't think I'd put Caleb over Dabonsa.
It's 6'10", and if you look at the stats, he averages more points and more rebounds than Dabasi and Peterson. And he played defense. He averages more blocks too. So
I'll go one step further with you. You won't find this game on his stats because it doesn't count. It was an exhibition. But those two dudes played hard against each other 2 weeks before the season started. They met in Salt Lake City. And Caleb Wilson was better head-to-head, just like Caleb was better head-to-head against Darren Peterson and better head-to-head against Cam Boozer. I think it's time to have the conversation we're having about Caleb Wilson. Or maybe we wait and make sure his hand's okay first, and then we can have that conversation. What is the third thing, the third craziest thing, Johnny, from Atlanta that you have?
The most overrated fight finna happen. Tyson versus Mayweather. And the craziest thing is it's taking place with one of the most legendary fights ever happened in the Congo. Ali and George Foreman fight. I'm like, man, how much disrespect do boxing need to give? That made me that took the cake right there.
Johnny, you took the cake. That's a great way to start Free for All Friday. Appreciate the call. Hope you'll call us again. 310-840-4910 if you want in. As promised, a Kendrick Lamar impression of sorts. When people think of Kendrick Lamar, what do they think of in terms of national consciousness, D-Day? Like, what was the biggest headline or the biggest thing that Kendrick Lamar was involved in the last few years?
Tearing up that goofy Canadian's ass in a rap beef.
So we're going to tear up that goofy Canadian ass in terms of Team USA facing Canada. So in this sense, Canada, the country's Drake, us, America, Kendrick Lamar. After Sunday, you know what? Do you have Freebird again just ready to go, Oliver? Let's re-rack Freebird just to get this thing off the ground in a place where the vibes are feeling very American. Because after Sunday, America is officially going to be better than Canada in every single way possible. Hockey is the one sport they can say they're better than us in. But not after Sunday. Because our NHL teams actually win the Stanley Cup. Yours do not. And have not for more than 30 years. Even our southern teams, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightnings, they win Stanley Cups, not Canadian teams. The women's Olympic team beat Canada in the gold medal match in overtime. Shout out to Hillary Knight, Captain America herself, and Megan Keller. If the men win on Sunday, there won't be an argument Canadians can make for being better in hockey than us superior Americans. Without hockey, there's nothing Canada has that compares to the United States of America. See, America is better than Canada for the same reason a bald eagle is better than whatever polite, apologetic bird that they have up there. In America, you have the freedom to eat 3 pounds of bacon and start a business in your garage without having to file 17 forms in triplicate. There simply isn't enough red meat in Canada's national character. After all, we did create the cheeseburger. They created poutine. You've got Drake, but we've got Kendrick. You've got Ryan Reynolds, who's married to Blake Lively. We've got Blake's BFF, Taylor Swift, who's married to Travis Kelce. Your best basketball player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ours, currently, well, that's actually pretty hard to beat. Sunday morning, America becomes hockey country, not Canada. And Freebird probably gets banned from being played in Canada because they ban weird stuff over there. 8:10 a.m. Eastern. Can't get here quick enough. Can't wait to turn that on. Plus, the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, at that time. I might even tailgate in my house to tune that thing up. We're fired up here. Let's get to some more calls. 310-840-4910. V is in Chicago. V, are you as fired up as I am to talk about Team USA facing those scrubs from Canada?
Hell yeah, brother. I mean, this is a good team once you look at it. I know. I got home today. I didn't get home in time to see the start of the game, but I saw enough where we kicked the Slovaks' butts. So I feel very confident. Not gonna lie.
Are you gonna be up 8:10 Eastern time, or I guess 7:10 in Chicago?
I'm gonna set my alarm. I'm gonna set my alarm on my Lego clock radio, which I'm currently listening on.
Awesome.
I know.
What are you going to eat for breakfast? Have you figured it out? What are we eating for breakfast when we're going to be watching Team USA at 7:10 a.m.? What are we eating, V?
Probably like a cherry yogurt. I usually eat that every single day.
Fire it up, man. There you go. V, Let's go. Team USA, make it happen. Appreciate the phone call from you. We're getting a call from Canada. I don't know which direction this is headed in. This is Free For All Friday, after all. Let's go to Alan, who's in Toronto. Alan, you're on Free For All Friday. What do you have for me, Alan?
Two items that I find very, very interesting in the United States that the United States has that Canada is not even close to. Grand Canyon, the Grand Canyon, and Death Valley, California. Those, I've been to both
Alan,
of them.
are you
recently.
Canadian or do you just live in Toronto?
I'm Canadian, but I spent
You're
all
not
my
going to
holidays.
defend your nation?
Well, you have 10 times the population we have, so, you know, there's...
Oh, that's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I'd
what
like
do you
to
got
talk
for me,
about
Alan?
the Pistons defeated the Knicks yesterday, 126-111, and they defeated the Knicks all three times this year. Yesterday was in Madison Square Garden. So let's raise our glass and tip our hats to the Pistons. They're 41-33. And Cade Cunningham at 42 points, 13 assists. Tobias Harris at 11 points and 10 rebounds. And Arthur Thompson had 10 points. And the Pistons, that team is really on the beam. And they didn't even have Jalen Duren or
still suspended.
Isaiah Robinson, but they were both serving suspensions for the February 9th fight in Charlotte. And I can hardly wait for Thursday. It's going to be the ultimate inspection for OKC and the Pistons. They're going to be playing in Little Caesars Arena on Thursday, and it's going to be one heck of a game, and I can hardly wait for it, you know.
Wow.
And
Well, I hope
it
it's
won't be easy for either one of them.
I hope it's one heck of a game. Appreciate the call north of the border, Alan in Toronto. The problem is the Pistons players are actually playing, aside from the ones that can't play because they're suspended. Duren and Isaiah Stewart's who you were going for there. Beef stew. OKC, SGA is going to be out for at least another week. Jalen Williams for at least 2 more weeks. You know, if we're going to talk this positive about teams in Michigan, we got to go to Mr. Positive, who's on the line right now from Michigan, 310-840-4910. This is really, I feel like welcoming Mr. Positive to Free For All Friday is kind of like Michael Jordan being introduced with his theme in the 90s, getting everything fired up. This is your moment to shine each week, Mr. Positive. Where are you steering the ship?
Josh, boom shakalaka, Warriors. Warriors. You are the master of destiny, the center
Hold one
of
sec,
life.
Mr. Positive. Hold one second. I'm going to give you an opportunity to re-rack that. I don't know what happened there. It seems like we kind of got off the track for a second. We want to give you a chance to re-rack this and get this thing right. Mr. Positive, you're on Free For All Friday. You're on Westwood One Sports Night. Go right ahead.
Boom shakalaka, Warriors. You are the master of destiny, the center of light. Your future is waiting, so fight the good fight. I gotta tell you, Josh and D-Day, the dynamic duo, Michigan is the center of the universe. The Pistons, like the gentleman said from Canada, Canada's women's winning, Megan, Canada winning the USA.
Megan Keller, yeah.
Michigan playing Duke. We're gonna win, but I can't even talk tonight. You're right. I think Duke has got a better defense, so we're gonna have to play our best game. And I mean, I just love it, Josh and D-Day. It's just unbelievable, the energy. And I got to tell you, I love what your dad's doing, number one. Number two, I love what you just did, your energy. It was so infectious. Keep being you. Everybody go for your dreams. Thank you, Josh.
There it goes, Mr. Positive. I don't know what my dad's doing, but he references my dad. I love my dad. I love what he's doing too, D-Day. I do. That just might be like going to spring training, watching Orioles baseball. Might be that. One more. Let's go to Jack for this segment at least. Get your calls in. 310-840-4910. Let's go to Jack, who's in Michigan as well. Might as well just knock out the Michigan calls while we have it here. Don't know. Are you listening on 97.1? Do we got you listening out our way to the ticket that way, Jack?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's good to have you. What do you have for us? You're on Free for All Friday. Appreciate you calling in.
I wanted to circle back to the take that Caleb Wilson is a better prospect than Darren Peterson because,
yes,
frankly, I kind of find that ridiculous, man.
Tell me. I've watched Darren Peterson in person twice. I watched Caleb Wilson 6 or 7 times. I watched Cam Boozer 6 or 7 times. I think Caleb Wilson's better than Darren Peterson.
Well, I mean, I'm a Caleb Wilson guy. Like I can agree with you that he's a great prospect. I would take him over Boozer. I think he's that good. But
I think he is better than Boozer. I agree.
He's got a great athletic profile. He's a fantastic prospect. He'd go number 1 in a lot of drafts. But Darren Peterson's the best, most skilled college basketball player I've ever laid my eyes on. And frankly, I'm not really worried about his injury concerns because if you remember Zion in college, he would lose 13 pounds a game.
I was there.
The cramps were a problem. It's just all this little ticky-tack stuff for these uber-talented college players. Like, I know Zion did pan out all the way, but I'm really not worried about Darren. I think the eye test just like
I think I'm with you. I think I'm with you if you're going eye test and all that. I think it's close, but that's where the nonsense comes in. Like the nonsense shouldn't factor in if the talent profile is so much greater than the other. But since I don't think it's all that far off, and when I watch Caleb Wilson on the same court as Darren Peterson, watched them both together and saw Caleb Wilson was better than Darren Peterson and his team won the game, and he doesn't have any of this nonsense. In fact, the man broke his hand and he returned to the basketball game last week. That's the stuff you can't coach. Darren Peterson hit the number 1 team in the country is in his building, and he decides he has the flu after pregame warmups. That's the stuff where if it's close, Jack, I'm going to side with the gamer. Because I know Caleb Wilson's a gamer. I don't know if Darren Peterson is, and that's a problem.
I mean, yeah, I totally get that. The thing is, the thing is though, if you're an NBA GM with a top 3 pick, I really don't think that you can miss it all. So there you go.
I think I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think we can agree on that. Thanks for listening out in Michigan, Jack. It's good to hear from you. 310-840-4910. If you want in on Free for All Friday, where you can steer the ship in whatever direction you please. D-Day, in the spirit of college basketball, I think there is a tier at the top of 5 teams in the sport. I've gone through the trouble of ranking those 5 teams. No, it does not mirror the AP Top 5's ranking. I watch college basketball every night and have been since the season tipped off. I love college basketball maybe more than any other sport. I'll give you my rankings of the top tier in college hoops. And as we continue to take your Free for All Friday calls at 310-840-4910. Next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Number 4, Arizona. Number 2, Houston. A top 5 showdown with March level intensity. Tomorrow at 3 Eastern on Westwood One and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds. Here we go.
It's Free for All Friday. You steer the ship. Any questions, any topic, call us now. 310-840-4910. Here's Josh Graham for Westwood One Sports Night.
Three 840-4910. I'm going to quote an iconic rapper and say, turn the snare up in my headphones. Let's turn up the music a little bit here. Some Buffett, Free for All Friday, makes me want to just hang out on a beach. Fortunately, we've got some of those in North Carolina where I'm based. They've got those in San Diego as well. And that's where we're going next. 310-840-4910. Art, where are you steering the ship on this Free-for-All Friday?
Well, I'm working here at Balboa Park. Beautiful spot. But I just want to vent on how sad the sports scene is here in San Diego. We got the Padres. but they can never get
They're
over the
really
top.
good. Baseball's back. Yeah. You guys spend.
But they don't spend enough. The Dodgers always outspend them. They could have gotten
You're not
Dave
going to
Roberts.
outspend them, but you outspend a lot of teams. I love your baseball team.
I like him too, but they could have had Dave Roberts before the Dodgers signed him. They blew that.
Who cares about
Clippers-
managers? Nah. You got Gavin
Clippers
Sheets.
left.
I love that dude. And Michael King and Nick. Didn't you guys re-sign Pavetta and J.P. Sears? And you've got, you still got Merrill and Tatis. You guys are fun. I love the Padres.
Yeah, they're going to finish second again if they're lucky. But we lost the Clippers. We lost the freaking who else? I forgot who else.
Chargers.
The Chargers. Yes. What am I saying? I still love the Chargers, but they left us. Spanos wanted to get something done. Dan Kroenke wants to build a new basketball arena here at Sports Arena, but the city people won't work with him. It's just a pathetic town. And you mentioned college basketball. Aztecs always fall short.
You guys went to the Final Four in the last 5 years.
I won a championship, bro. 53 years old.
I'm just
I won a
telling you,
championship.
man. I'm telling you, I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. The best thing I've had in my life is that Delman Young had a double in the ALCS in 2014. It's the best thing I've had. That's it. My college
Brady
team, I went to
Anderson.
East Carolina. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 1993. You guys
Fun
went
fact.
to a Final Four in the last 5 years, and you were in the NLCS just a couple years ago. It's not that bad. You live in San Diego. You got beautiful beaches. It maybe rains twice a year in San Diego. Do you know how I know that? The first time I visited San Diego, it rained, and everybody was apologizing. They're like, it never rains. I'm so sorry. Please come back. You live in an amazing city, and you got a good baseball team.
Okay, you talked me off the ledge. I just won a
Okay.
championship before I die. Hey, fun
All right,
fact, Brady
do
Anderson,
me a favor.
high
Do
school,
me
I
a
got-
favor. Just walk to the beach and touch sand and touch water, and everything's going to be okay.
Okay, hey, Brady Anderson, best Oriole ever. Carlsbad High. Carlsbad High School, class 82. That's Brady.
And that's an excellent call. That's fantastic. Thanks so much. That's great. I love to hear from you out in San Diego. Appreciate listening. 310-840-4910. I don't know why that fired me up so much, D-Day. You live in Washington, D.C. Other than the Nats winning it a few years, I guess you had the Caps and the Nats in 18 and 19. You've had that. That's pretty good. You can't really complain.
Got the
Living in
Mystics,
DC.
too. District of Champions, baby.
Yeah, and you guys went to the Commanders went to the NFC Championship game a year ago. Like you got it okay if you're in DC. San Diego, it's not that bad. It's okay. We're talking people off the ledge here. That's what we're doing. Let's go to James, who's calling from Georgia. 310-840-4910. You steer the ship, James. Where are we headed?
Hey, Josh. Hope you're doing good. What I wanted to ask you was, do you think that Todd Monken could possibly coach the Browns into the playoffs this year? And do you think that, or would you be comfortable with Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders as quarterback, or do you think they need to upgrade for quarterbacks and get somebody in place to make a run? You know, because I think Todd Monken's had a great career over the years with offenses and coaching and whatnot, and I'm wondering if you think that in some regards that they got sort of an opportunity to be better than what they have been in the past, you know, and I was wondering what your
Let me take
thoughts
those
were.
one by one. Number one, I don't think they can make the playoffs. Let's start there. Appreciate the call, James. Number two,
Okay.
I would not be comfortable with Shedeur or Deshaun Watson at quarterback, but you're stuck with a $100 million cap hit this year with Deshaun. It's what you're stuck with, so you might as well have him compete with Shedeur Sanders and play the better of the two quarterbacks. And if none of the guys pan out, well, it's a great quarterback class next year, and maybe you're going to be in good position to take one of those guys when that time comes, especially if you position yourself nicely with what you got from the Jaguars just to move back a few spots in the draft a year ago to allow for them to take Travis Hunter and you move to the 5th pick. Didn't think that Todd Monken was an upgrade from Kevin Stefanski. Didn't love that hire. It might have been the worst of the hires made, that or Joe Brady in Buffalo. Didn't think that there were upgrades in either regard. So not all that optimistic about the Cleveland Browns. 310-840-4910 if you want. And Ariel Epstein, the prop queen, she's our guest on today's program. She'll join us at the conclusion of Free For All Friday after Free For All Friday concludes. She'll be joining us at the top of next hour. Denton Day. College basketball is entering prime time. February's about to close, which means March is about here. And there is a top tier in college basketball. Looking at the AP poll, that top tier currently looks this way. Michigan at number 1, Houston at number 2, Duke at number 3, Arizona at number 4, UConn at number 5. That is the top tier in college basketball. Those teams right there. But how would we rank them? In terms of just who are the 5 best teams in the country right now? Not strictly based on resume. Some of it's that. A lot of it's eye test. I love college basketball, maybe more than any other sport. I live in the state of North Carolina. I've watched college basketball every single day, pretty much, since the season started the first week of November. So we're not just parachuting in on this. Here are the top 5 teams in college basketball. Here's how we would rank that top tier. Number 5, the Duke Blue Devils. As good as Cameron Boozer is, and he might even be the National Player of the Year. If he is, by the way, the National Player of the Year, as an aside, Duke will have the winner of that award in consecutive years. Cooper Flagg won it a year ago. The last time a school had consecutive National Player of the Year winners, it was Duke. You had Shane Battier, 2001, Jay Williams, 2002. So nearly a quarter century ago, the last time it happened. As good as Cam Boozer is, it's difficult to trust Isaiah Evans or Pat Gamba to be a top-flight number 2 scoring option, especially compared to the teams we're about to get to. They also lost all 5 starters from last year's Final Four team, so this isn't the same type of team. They're not as battle-tested with what happened a year ago as you might think they are, or just assume that they are, because the guys who are back from last year's team, they were in reserve roles. They are an incredible defensive team, perhaps the best defensive team in college basketball. But there are concerns at point guard. It'll either be Caden Boozer or Caleb Foster carrying the mail, and we know how important guards are in March. Duke's number 5. Number 4 is Arizona. The team started 23-0, but's lost 2 of the last 3 games. We hear the expression as well. Make sure you're playing your best basketball in March towards the end of the year. Arizona isn't right now. Lost 2 of the last 3. They beat BYU earlier in the week, but you're at home. BYU's without Richie Saunders. Koa Pete, by the way, out this week. He's going to be reevaluated next week. That doesn't sound fantastic. It's not what you want to see this time of year. It's hard, though, not to fall in love with that backcourt of Burries and Bradley. They could use a nickname of some sorts. Maybe we can get on that before March arrives. Arizona's at number 4. Number 3. Even though this team in December lost at home to the number 4 team, we got the UConn Huskies here. This is a team that looks like it is designed in a lab to win in March. And they might have the best coach in the sport in Dan Hurley. 2 strong guards in Ball and DeMary. Silas, love watching that guy play. Plus, you have a champion in Alex Caravan who's still around. Terrace Reed did not play in that game against Arizona earlier in the year. Such an important piece in the middle. Love this UConn team, even though they are coming off a loss against Creighton this week. Number 2, the Houston Cougars. Even though they lost to Iowa State Monday, they controlled that game. They should have won that basketball game. But Ames is crazy, Hilton Magic, the whole deal. This Houston team just might be better than last year's team. That was one of the 10 best KenPom teams ever since they started tracking things back in 1999. This team, unlike a year ago, has a lottery guard, a top 5 pick in Kingston Fleming. And you're pairing that, again, you know the expression, guards win in March. Top 5 lottery pick, Kingston Fleming, paired with the pedigree of guys unlike Duke. And by the way, Houston beat Duke in that Final Four. Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, they're back from last year's Final Four team. Love the way Houston's constructed, and Kelvin Sampson. Number 1's Michigan. For all the concerns about the Big Ten's NCAA tournament struggles and Elliot Cadeau's exit from Chapel Hill, it has to be the Wolverines right now. They're not losing basketball games of late. They're not just winning the games either. They're clobbering teams. 11 straight wins by an average margin of 16 points per win. You're going into Mackey and handling Purdue from start to finish, and you're hitting 50%, 56% of your threes. It's out of this world. They're 24-1, and if they beat Duke Saturday night, they just might be your, without a doubt, unquestioned number 1 team in the land and seen to be the dominant front runner going into the NCAA tournament. So there you go. That's the top tier of college basketball as I see it. Last call for phone calls on Free for All Friday, 310-840-4910. Also, where's Kenneth Walker going to be playing next season? Because you shouldn't expect it to be, based on this week's headlines, with the Seattle Seahawks. That's next.
The NFL franchise tag window is open, with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between now and kickoff, we'll tell you what you need to know on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
It's last call for phone calls on Free for All Friday. You steer the ship. Any questions, any topic, call us now. 310-840-4910. Here's Josh Graham for Westwood One Sports Night.
Let the Jimmy Buffett wash over you. 310-840-4910. Last call for phone calls. You getting a chance to steer the ship at 310-840-4910. Let's go to Carter from the Bronx, who wants in. Carter, you're on Free for All Friday and Westwood One Sports Night. Where are you steering the ship?
Hey, Joshua. Bada bing, bada boom. Carter here with the gabagoo. My brother, I came here. It's good to hear from you again. Fridays are my day to call in. I'm out here delivering slop to the masses doing Uber Eats. It's crazy. But I got one thing to say to you, okay?
Yeah.
USA. USA. USA.
USA.
USA.
USA. D-Day. Oliver, where are we at? USA. 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 Let's go! Let's go!
I love it.
D-Day is a traitor to his country. Not getting involved over there. Don't appreciate that. Did we just lose Carter? There he goes. Carter from the Bronx delivering that slop. Outstanding stuff. 310-840-4910. Let's go to Daryl, who's in Miami. Daryl from the 305. What's happening?
Yes,
Westwood One Sports Night. You're on Free for All Friday. What are we talking about?
Well, first of all, we're talking about this beautiful sunny weather out here. We was in the 80s today. You know how we do in Miami. Beautiful.
Hold 1 second, man. Hey. I'm in North Carolina, whereas my partner in crime, Linnell Willingham, says North Kakalaki. And it was 80 today here as well. 80 degrees in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, America.
Congratulations. We get that all day, every day. But this what I want to tell you. Listen, man.
Fire off.
Your top five. Well, I gotta go biased. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm here in Florida, and them Gators is the real. You didn't put my boy Boogie Fan and Xavier Lee. You know what I'm saying? McCall, Cloverstoff. Them boys. They got some guards. They got some shooters. Florida is gonna be in that tournament.
No. You didn't even say the name of the dog on that team. It's not Chinaloo. It's not Xavier Lee. It's not Boogie Flan. The dog of that team is Thomas Houck. I love me some Thomas Houck. I didn't say they can't win the title. I just said they're not in the top five.
Man.
That's it.
Yeah, man. But I'm gonna give you that. Everybody entitled to their own top five. But if it was my top five, the Gators got to be at least in that top two.
Just know, sitting courtside at the Florida Duke game earlier this year at Cameron, when you watch basketball up close, you just get so much of a different appreciation than you do, I feel, with the other sports for the talent level that guys have. And watching those athletes, Cam Boozer, and watching Xavier Lee and watching Boogie Flan, I was just so impressed with Thomas Houck. Watching him up close, and that guy's a champion from last year, that I feel that he might have some moments in the SEC tournament, maybe some more moments in March. So if Florida does it, he is nice. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, he nice, man. But check this out. This is what I'm disappointed about, too. Like you say, I agree with you. That's the best tournament in the world. I mean, I've been watching the NCAA since I was a toddler. You know what I'm saying? I love the NCAA tournament. Best tournament in the world, no doubt. Why can't they get it right with football? Here's an idea. Why don't you go with the top 25? You have a playing game on Monday with some off-brand bowl like the Avis Bowl, right? You have a playing game on a Monday. And then you get all the bowls involved, at least 12 bowls involved, 12 top bowls. And then you just narrow it down from 20 to 24. That's left.
Can I give you a very concise answer? What I think the biggest problem that no one's talking about with the college football playoff is? You know what? And I appreciate the call from Miami, by the way. 310-840-4910. Last call for phone calls on Free for All Friday. I'll give you a concise answer here. I think the calendar is such an issue. And I'm not talking about when you can recruit and the things that need to be fixed and are in the process of being fixed with the portal and things of that nature. I think what helps so much with college basketball is you have this association where it's March. And that's when the NCAA tournament, that's when March Madness happens. And I think there's an opportunity that's being left on the table for college football. If you start the season a week earlier, have week 0 be week 1, giving you an extra week, allowing the season to end a week earlier, and you get rid of conference championships, which is probably going to happen if you expand the way that you're describing, or at least the Big Ten is describing with 24 teams. Then you get to start or end the season another week earlier. If college football's doing it right, the first weekend of December is the start of the college football playoff. The national championship game is New Year's Day in the Rose Bowl, closing things out. Have the Rose Bowl be for college football what Omaha is for college baseball. And have December be for college football what the month of March is for college basketball. That's what I think could help football such a great deal, because I think every day we get past the Rose Bowl in January 1st, college football matters less and less. And I think that's going to be a takeaway we have when the season ends January 24th or 25th, 2027, a year from now, that people just aren't as engaged, don't care as much about the sport that day than they would on January 1st. So that's, again, it's a micro way of looking at it, but to answer your question, that's as far as I would go. You know, since we're going to talk football and the NFL with Ariel Epstein when she joins us in about 10 minutes, I actually have some Free-for-All Friday topics I'd want to get into, D-Day. Usually I don't have this, but there are some Free-for-All Friday topics that I have, that if I were a Free-for-All Friday caller and I'm trying to steer the ship to a direction that doesn't normally get a lot of shine, this is what I would be calling about. This is how I'd be calling Westwood One Sports Night for Free for All Friday. Number one, I'd be wanting to discuss Robert Duvall some more. He passed this week at 95. He had one of the highest batting averages of any actor for 3 or 4 decades. If he was in a movie, you kind of knew it was good because he was in it. But he also is part of one of the greatest what-ifs in movie history. What if the financial dispute there was between him and Francis Ford Coppola for Godfather Part 3, what if that never happened and Tom Hagen was in Godfather Part 3? Robert Duvall in Godfather Part 3. Because that financial dispute never got figured out, they didn't just pay Robert Duvall to be Tom Hagen in the movie. They had to completely rewrite that movie, and that's disowned by people. No one associates Godfather Part 3 with the first two. No one, it's like the redheaded stepchild not wanting to talk about it. And if you rewatch the movie, it doesn't live up to parts 1 and 2, but it isn't all that bad. Like, if you just recast Sofia Coppola in it, and you have Tom Hagen in it and Robert Duvall, I think it elevates it to a point where you might be talking about that movie being a classic. But if he's in that movie, that means he can't make something else. The movie that he made rather than Godfather Part 3, Days of Thunder, where he's with Tom Cruise, NASCAR. I don't want to lose that either. And it goes back to what I love about Robert Duvall, where you have the range of somebody who first appeared on screen as Boo Radley, communicating so much, even though he didn't have any words in the brief moment he's on screen, in a key moment with Gregory Peck across from him in To Kill a Mockingbird, and then The Godfather, and then you're also able to play across from Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder. He's just the best. Another topic that I had written down for Free For All Friday that, again, if I were calling Indie Day, I want to talk about is the Instagram page I can't get enough of right now. Like, do you have, like, the thing on Instagram that, or on TikTok, this page that's kind of like, man, everything this page is producing, they kind of get it. I'm here for it.
I go through waves of things about that nature, so yeah.
For me, are you familiar with sandbox sessions?
I am not.
So these pages or these clips just appear on my feed, and these guys are playing next level chess, where these guys, at the start of every one of their videos, D-Day, they're asking this question: is it appropriate for a grown man to? And always the answer is no, but the question they ask is always so ridiculous, where the comments are littered with people that don't get that this is a parody and a bit because of how straight they keep it in the video. So here are some of the topics. Is it appropriate for a grown man to look at a menu at a restaurant? Is it appropriate for a grown man to use a blinker when he drives? Is it appropriate for a grown man to use a stress ball? Is it appropriate for a grown man to take pictures of his homies? These are all questions that are asked. There was even a sports one involving LeBron James that was somewhere.
We should all be taking pictures of our homies. You got to show the homies you love them.
But the answer, again, of course, we agree with that. But they say the answer is no in every sense, and it's hilarious. I don't use a blinker. It's not appropriate for a grown man to use a blinker because I don't want to let you know what I'm thinking. I don't want you to know
your next step.
if I'm taking a left or a right. You know what? I don't even use headlights. I don't want you to know what I'm looking at. When I take a turn, I turn my hazards on. You don't know if I'm taking a right or a left. That's the page that right now, everything they're putting out, salute. It's being consumed by me, and I'm loving it. That and all the clips that include the bazooka song, where that person's grandmother gets hit by a bazooka and he thinks about it every time he hits the hookah. What a way to close out Free for All Friday. You made it, Oliver. You're officially part of the team. You've been fully initiated because you got through Free For All Friday. When Ariel Epstein joins the show, the prop queen, she'll hand out MLB futures next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Ariel Epstein joins us, the prop queen, propqueen.com. Her first love is baseball. She's a Yankee fan. I'm an Oriole fan. Also got the red, white, and blue. Shout out.
I have Oriole ties, though, so it's fine.
It's all good, even though the spring training, Pete Alonso, 2-run shot. We don't need to talk about that. We'll get to some of your MLB futures in just a bit. However, you are a Baltimore Ravens fan, speaking to the Baltimore ties that you're referring to, and took some heat talking about the Ravens because season win total props were put out, and the Ravens were at 10.5, which is tied for the best in the NFL. They are the favorites to win the AFC in some circles. I just don't understand it. Help me out.
I said the same thing when I saw it first. I guess you're putting the Bills and the Ravens as the front runners for the AFC. Both have new coaches, completely new coaching staffs. We're still unsure how Patrick Mahomes is going to come back for the Kansas City Chiefs, what that timeline looks like. They believe he could be back in September. Maybe, but it's still, is he going to look good in September if he came back that early? A lot of question marks on the Chiefs. I have zero trust in the Ravens. If you're going to ask where the value is, it's certainly not there. You have to wait. If you want to bet the Ravens, if you want to bet the Bills, at this point, you have to hope that someone gets off to a slow start. Then you could jump on. I did that a couple of years ago. The Ravens were, I think, the second shortest odds to win the AFC 2 years ago. They lost the first 3 or 4 games out the gate, and I bet the Ravens at, I think it was 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. And that was the year that they ended up losing to the Bills in the divisional round. But that was also a year that they looked really good. So I think that's the way to approach any of the front-runner teams is there's already not value. So you might as well just wait and hope that they lose the game or two before before week 3 or 4.
And while we're talking about this subject on the NFL, even at the risk of sounding like a homer, the other one I didn't understand on the other side of the spectrum is Carolina with the worst odds in the NFC South, 6.5 when they win 8 games this past year. And this seems like a team that is trending upward. How far up? Don't know. But 6.5? That's another one that's scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, that one seems pretty low. I'll be honest, I haven't looked too much at these because so much happens when it comes to the NFL draft, when it comes to training camp, any kind of moves with free agents. There's a lot that could happen. I guess the books are looking at Baker Mayfield and the Bucs to make a comeback after last year when that team was so heavily favored to win the division. And I said, I don't understand why we're booking the Bucs and Baker to be such heavy favorites for this division when I didn't think they were that good. They just had a really good stretch at the end of the year before. So maybe the books are just expecting some kind of comeback.
Let me ask you a question that actually might be better tailored from a sports betting perspective for football. When's the optimal time to bet NFL futures? Is it after the draft and free agency and after the schedule? Is it a few weeks into training camp because of injuries? When do you circle, all right, if you're trying to optimize value, this is the point in the calendar to do so with that sport?
I wait in the NFL for draft, big free agents to move, and the schedule. The schedule is so important. I don't know how people, and I get it, the sports betting world is all a numbers game. Absolutely. And there could be numbers that you say, oh, that makes no sense. What I don't understand is how you could look at something not realizing, well, there's a chance that team has to go abroad and come back, not have the bye and play. There's a chance that team is going to have to face 2 divisional opponents in a row when the other divisional opponent's coming off a bye. There's so many things in this schedule that could put a team at an advantage or disadvantage that can make a win total, can make or break a win total. So I need the schedule first.
Ariel Epstein's with us here. She's the prop queen. She loves her Major League Baseball, as do we. Now let's talk futures. You have a couple of them. Where's the first place you want to go now that spring training games have been played? What are you circling first?
I love a division winner at 3-1. I like that. Like, that's my threshold for, are you going to win a division? I want a solid plus 250, 3-1 to sit on. If I can find a 3-1, it's great. The Texas Rangers to win the AL West at plus 310. You've got a very strong rotation, and that's what I look for when I'm betting on any kind of future, especially when it comes to divisions or World Series, etc., is do you have pitching? The Rangers do. Nathan Eovaldi's going to come back off injury. Jacob deGrom looked very good. Best season in a while last year. Is it going to last? I don't know. But what's great is that he's there. And he's going to help Jacob deGrom, Mackenzie Gore, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter. Those three are three of the best college pitchers that we saw, or not college, but like could have been college pitchers. Like we saw like Leiter and Rocker together 4 years ago when ECU played them in like the I think it was the Supers. So we've watched those guys. And Mackenzie Gore was a first-round pick in the MLB draft out of high school, which you know from North Carolina. So these are three really young, amazing pitchers that are now going to be led by Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom, two veterans that have been aces on staffs. And then let's just forget the pitching for a second, the lineup. The Rangers have young stars like Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter. You added power in the offseason with Jake Berger, a veteran like Brandon Nimmo. Corey Seager and Jock Peterson are still there. So it's a really nice mix of veteran and young presence in the lineup. I like the Rangers. I think there's great value there in the futures market, and 3-1's a nice price.
I'll go a step further, too. Skip Schumacher waiting in the wings. Now he takes over one of the best young minds in the managerial sense, taking over for Bruce Bochy. Okay, like that. Good value, good number. What's the second play we're looking at MLB futures-wise with Ariel Epstein?
This is a win total that will make everybody want to throw up, which is why I love it. The Pittsburgh Pirates over 77.5 wins. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the person that tells you they will be better this year. They had 71 wins last year. You have Paul Skeens, who's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Jared Jones, who everyone forgets about before he got hurt, was actually surpassing Paul Skeens in the strikeout market. Mitch Keller, that's a really good three. Lineup-wise, O'Neal Cruz, please don't break your wrist. Brian Reynolds, Ryan O'Hearn, former Oriole. And then the recent addition of Marcell Ozuna, who can get hot at any time. And remember, led Major League Baseball at one point in home runs. The Pirates increased their payroll by over 20% this winter. They are in it. The Pirates, over 77.5 wins. That total is high for a reason, and it's because this team got better and they've got pitching. All they have to do is improve the bullpen a little bit and not blow games. So I like it.
Now looking at this lineup, I think this is why you're great at what you do. You're keeping tabs on everything that happens during the offseason where there's so much that you could see isolated but not put together. I knew in my head, I saw the Ozuna headline, and I knew that Ryan O'Hearn was there, former Oriole. Forgot about Brandon Lau. He's former Tampa Bay Ray. And then you're right about Cruz. If he stays healthy, we know that he can hit the ball a very long way. It's exciting. A lot of people were talking about USA-Canada hockey gold medal game on Sunday morning, but how about USA-Canada or USA-Japan?
Canada won't be in WBC.
How about USA-Japan World Baseball Classic in a few weeks?
Ohtani's not pitching. That's fine. USA also could get maybe like the Dominicans. They're a tough out. I know the Dominicans were mad. I know that they're stacking up. A lot of the Spanish-speaking countries are really mad at how things went down the last WBC. So I'm expecting them to make a push as well.
I also, since you spend so much time with us, I want to give you a shout out on the way out to something that you put out that I thought was very good and very practical to the prop betting layman, where you pretty much explained some of the mistakes that people make when they try to bet props. Without going through the whole thing, you can find it, Prop Queen, on YouTube. You can find thepropqueen.com. Why did you feel compelled to put out there something such as that?
I also did it by giving out my NBA props for tonight, which at the time people are listening to this, the NBA Ready is underway. I like to show people how they might look at a prop board, and it's NBA season, so that's why I did NBA for tonight. Sometimes you have common misconceptions. A lot of people will look and say, oh, they're on a back-to-back, tired legs, they're not going to perform. Well, Nikola Jokic is averaging 36 points per game on the second leg of a back-to-back this year, and that's through about 6 or 7 games, so it's a decent sample size. Certain narratives just don't make sense or actually don't work. So if you're going to go and find a prop board to bet, don't necessarily think that because that's what the narrative is, that that's the edge. It's not.
thepropqueen.com. She's the best for spending time with us each and every week. Buckle up. I know March Madness isn't exactly your bag because you're so dialed in on the NBA.
Oh, but I'll be in Vegas, so it will be my bag.
Oh, how do we get you to Indy? We need to figure that out. Final Four.
Probably not happening.
All right, gotta work on that maybe. But I still haven't done it because of where I'm entrenched in North Carolina. I always find myself at a regional somewhere nearby, whether it's Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro. This year would have been the year to pull the plug and go to Vegas the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, but I didn't do it. I still haven't done that yet. It's a dream. It's a bucket list thing to go out there for the first weekend of the tournament. I still haven't. So you're going to go out that way? What's the game plan?
Yeah, it's the fourth time I've done it probably. Kelly in Vegas and we go out for the most. Last year we were so over it because we did it about 3 years in a row. So we decided to just take a cruise last year. Sometimes you just need that break. Oh, and we also did Super Bowl in Vegas, so we were just exhausted. We go to the Westgate because our really good friend John Murray runs the Superbook there, their sports book, which is the best place to watch the games. There's no sports book better than the Westgate Superbook. It just is the perfect layout. It's huge. There's a lot of areas to sit. And we're going to do that. We'll go to Barry's Steakhouse at Circa, maybe go to the Circa pools for one day because I love the Westgate. But when you sit there for 4 straight days of March Madness, remember, the games start at 9 a.m. Pacific. So you are sitting in the sportsbook from 9 a.m. Pacific until 9 p.m. Pacific, and then you go to dinner, and then you go to the casino. So there are days that could be beautiful and 80 degrees, and we don't know that the sun is shining because we haven't left the sportsbook. I told Kelly we need to go to a pool one day and watch the games. Stadium swim, Circa. Outside, games are on. You don't have to worry about missing anything, but at least you get sunlight. We need sunlight.
Okay. This is the plan then. We're going to try to achieve 2 goals at the same time.
Oh, boy.
We're going to have you and Kelly in Vegas make a return visit somehow with the show. We'll line it up when you guys are out in Vegas. And we're going to demand one of our requirements is that you're outside. So that way you at least see the sun.
Oh, good luck.
We'll try to figure it out some way, somehow. But that's exciting. Ariel Epstein, enjoy spring training ball and get ready because at about this time next week, it's going to be the calendar flipping to March. PropQueen.com. It is the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. Thank you once again. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Chad.
There she goes, Ariel Epstein joining us here on the show. It's, I still haven't pulled the trigger there yet. It's on the bucket list to get to Vegas the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. D-Day, have you ever gone anywhere special for the first weekends?
Not for the tour. I thought you'd been Vegas in general. I have been to Vegas in general.
yeah.
Have you been to Vegas in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many
I'm just
times.
making sure because I feel like the first time going to Vegas for the NCAA tournament would be a madhouse. You got to experience it regularly first and then go for the tournament.
Because here's the thing. This is the prop. If I wasn't already planning to go to Final Four in Indy, this would have been the perfect year to go to Vegas for the first weekend because usually there's a regional in the state of North Carolina, as I was just saying to Ariel. This year there isn't. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. I ain't taking the hike to Greenville, South Carolina. It's like 3 hours. I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. So usually they're in Greensboro, Charlotte, or Raleigh, and that's all within 2 hours from where I'm sitting right now. So, and next year, it's going to be in Charlotte. 28, it's going to be the second weekend in Raleigh, first weekend. So feasibly, I might say, hey, you know what? Maybe 2028, first weekend, let's go to Vegas. Guess where the Final Four is at in 28?
Vegas.
Yeah.
Go for
so
that.
Am I going to go to Vegas twice in 3 weeks? Probably not.
No.
So instead, we'll just go to the Final Four in Vegas rather than going for the first weekend. But it's going to happen eventually. I'm going to make it happen because that's I just always hear it's such a great time. So
It's so expensive though. Like you better be winning a lot. Like I liked being out in Vegas, bro, until I saw how much they're charging for alcohol, and then I was like, y'all are the real sinners. It's not what's going on in the hotel room. It's the people charging $18 for a can of seltzer. That should be illegal.
Who is going to win perhaps the biggest game in the college basketball regular season tomorrow, or I guess today, in D.C.? That's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
The Seahawks aren't expected to place the franchise tag on Kenneth Walker. Could the Super Bowl MVP be on another team next season? Get ready. The free agent frenzy is coming on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Houston. In case you didn't know, the NCAA rescheduled the Final Four for this weekend from where it usually sits the first weekend of April. You got the top 4 teams of the country facing each other. Really like Houston, their spot at home against a Wildcat team that's going to be without Koa Pete again. And there's a North Carolina Tar Heel assistant coach named Jeff Lebo. Was a great player there in Chapel Hill in the 80s. And I always liked the way he put it, describing teams that are coming off a loss D-Day, how sometimes you might catch a bad break where you catch a team coming off a loss. The way that Jeff put it to me one time, he said, they're going to be crispy. That's how you might describe Houston Saturday night at home getting Arizona. You're going to get a crispy Houston team. The headliner is Duke, Michigan. The aforementioned Denton Day going to be in the building for this top 3 heavyweight fight, a potential national title preview. So who you got? 310-840-4910. Personally, we're going with Duke. This is a matchup between Ken Palm's number 1 and number 2 teams in the country in defensive efficiency. We're giving the advantage to the Blue Devils. And that's going to be the difference in Duke figuring out a way to win this game. For all the talent Michigan has in its front court, its point guard Elliot Cadeau is going to be the X factor in this game. If he plays well, Michigan will win. If Cadeau does not play well, Michigan will lose. You should expect John Shire to put him through hell, just like he did last season when they both were in the ACC. Elliot Cadeau transferred from North Carolina, and with the Tar Heels, there was a game. He visited Cameron last year. He had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 first-half turnovers. And because of that, North Carolina was trailing in the first half by 25 points. The Tar Heels went 0-3 against the Blue Devils last season. Now Elliott Cadeau gets Duke again. And while Duke's the best defense Cadeau has faced this year, he's had issues against other top defenses. The next best defense that he faced, Nebraska. How did he do in that game? He had a career worst 8 turnovers. This is a guy who's been starting games, this being his 3rd season. He had more turnovers in that game against Nebraska than any game in his career. 8 turnovers. The Wolverines survived to win that game by 2 points at home, while the Huskers were missing 2 of their starters. Cadeau was not good in the game. Cadeau's had at least 4 giveaways in 2 of the last 3 games. So expect Duke Jr. Caleb Foster, guy who's been around, to be defending him for much of this game and to be a regular pest. Stylistically, Michigan going to have more issues with Duke than vice versa. Other than Gonzaga, the Wolverines haven't faced elite non-conference competition this year. Not because they didn't try, just the teams they scheduled didn't turn out to be any good. Auburn was a Final Four team this year. That's not what they are with the other Pearl running things. Wake Forest, TCU, just aren't good this year. Duke, they've seen a variation of styles from strong non-conference teams. Florida, Arkansas, Michigan State in East Lansing, they won that game. Texas Tech led that game by 17 at MSG before being unable to hang on, but had a lot of success in the game. These experiences, that's what helps get you ready for what you're going to experience in March. Varied styles and different buildings. The Arkansas game was in Chicago on Thanksgiving Day, and they played Texas Tech at MSG, and they were in East Lansing against Michigan State, and this is Washington, D.C., that they're getting Michigan. This is a Duke team. John Shire is 4-1 in his career against the Big Ten as a head coach. So when the Blue Devils try to play tempo, which is a lot different than what Michigan's usually accustomed to seeing in the grinded-out Big Ten, it might be an adjustment for them defensively. Watch out for Isaiah Evans in transition and Cam Boozer's passing ability, not just his scoring. Pat Gamba, his athleticism, making a difference in this game. In the end, Duke winning this game would track with the central storyline of this season. Last year, there were almost no upsets in the NCAA tournament. One conference dominated everything. Florida won the national title from the SEC. 14 of the 16 teams in that conference made the dance. There were really only 4 teams that could win it all last year. They were the top 4 teams. They all made it to the Final Four. This year's different. So if you're just parachuting in on college basketball now, the story of this year is there isn't an overwhelming team. Albeit, if Michigan were to win Saturday night, maybe they are that. Maybe they are that team, and maybe we should view them that way at 25-1 as this overwhelming force, especially if they win it by double digits. Like they've won all of their last 11 games, winning 11 in a row. We like Duke, though. And when Duke wins, how crazy of a stat is this? The entire top 10 in the AP poll will have suffered a loss in the last 2 weeks if Duke beats Michigan Saturday night. So, given what this college season has been, it's only right if Duke knocks off the Michigan Wolverines, and we think that they're going to. 310-840-4910 if you want in. This is Westwood One Sports Night. My name's Josh Graham. We're streaming video on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, Westwood One Sports Night. It's also where you can find some clips in case you miss any of our content. It gets put out there. Streaming video on my X page as well, at Josh Graham Show. We didn't get into a lot of NFL with Ariel Epstein joining us from thepropqueen.com. Are you a believer that Kyler Murray might still return to the Arizona Cardinals? Mike LaFleur, he opened that door. He said there's no timetable on there being a decision on Kyler. But is that the type of thing you have to say as a coach when You want to have proper trade value for the player, and you want to make teams believe that if you don't trade for him, that you still intend on playing him from a trade perspective. Where are you at on Kyler Murray?
I fully anticipate that he is going to be in Arizona. They don't have another option.
Jacoby Brisket?
I don't think, one, he
Jacoby
hates the
Brissett,
nickname
that is.
Brisket. We asked him that once. He did not. He was not
I know
thrilled.
he doesn't like it.
Oh,
but,
God.
You know the reason. You know the reason he hates it, right?
Well, we asked. There's a different reason that it wasn't D.C., but tell me your reason.
Because he's a North Carolina guy. Went to NC State. We don't really do brisket here, so that he likes the barbecue that we have in North Carolina. It's not brisket.
Is that on record that he said that?
I don't know if it was on air, but he's aware of it, and it doesn't surprise me he doesn't like it, and that might have been the joke. He might have known his surroundings. Let's just put it that way. What did he tell you guys?
They asked him about it in D.C. It was very illy timed because he had just lost the starting job to Sam Howell in the offseason. Like, can we call you Brisket? And he just looked at the guy who, I forget who asked it. He just looked at the person who asked it and said, no. And it was very awkward.
See, he always he was I thought he had a fine. I like Jacoby Brissett.
I liked him
always
too.
have.
I thought he was a good quarterback, but I just don't know if you're going into year number one as a new head coach and not at least trying the guy that has a $52 million cap hit.
Well, that's true. There is the cap hit piece, but I did have Arizona slotted as a team that's gonna take the Tyler Shuck type path in terms of we're not being talked about a ton as being a quarterback destination for a draft pick, but we're gonna take a flyer, maybe on the second quarterback of the draft if there isn't another one taken in round one. If there is one taken in round one, maybe round two. Maybe it's a Carson Beck, maybe it's a Ty Simpson, maybe it's a Garrett Nussmeier, and then you have Brissett start and you have that guy waiting in the wings. I don't know.
If they take Carson Beck and he's the second quarterback taken, this whole thing was an inside job just to keep Arizona below everybody else in the division. He's an inside
Charles
agent
Barkley
for the Rams.
Right now is on television wearing he has a swag bag that was given to him by the Charlotte Hornets. He's now trying to position himself as the Hornets guy. And they sent him a number 34 jersey, an old school Hornets draft hat, and some stuff. That's great. That's
now that
outstanding.
Michael's not
Jalen
there,
Rose
he
is
can
on
be.
Inside the NBA? Jalen Rose is on this show too now?
Yeah, well, for a little bit, yeah, he's filling in for somebody. He made his return to ESPN. I saw an article about it.
Yeah, the reaction to that was very weird in the last month. There's been a lot of weird reactions to people on that show. The reaction that, they're not, the NBA is not happy and these guys aren't talking. These guys usually are on around Christmas and when the season starts, and then they go away to get ready for March Madness, and then they're on every night. So that way, that's why you don't see a lot of them in January. That's why you don't see a lot of them in February, because they're working all throughout March, and then they're on every night for 2 months. So people need to settle down with that. Same thing with the Ernie Johnson story today, where he's taken a step back from the first 2 weekends of the tournament and will return in the Final Four. People were like, CBS. No, it was Ernie's decision, because these guys work a lot. They really do.
I think the people are more concerned with the Nate Burleson bit, because does Nate Burleson know basketball?
Also, is Nate Burleson a host, really? Is he the guy that I still view him as the person you would go to for analysis on football, right? Not the guy who's trying to facilitate conversation. What happened to Adam Lefko? We don't have Lefko in that chair anymore? I sincerely don't know. I wish I followed these things
Well,
as
he does the stuff with
closely as I
he does
used
stuff
to.
with Turner still because he's under contract.
Well, that's what I'm
there.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out because Turner is the NCAA tournament. Last I checked, that's not ESPN property. That's a Turner CBS property. So why isn't he sliding into the main chair? I don't know because everybody seems to like Lefko.
Well, he's probably doing stuff for the tournament. Give me Reese Davis.
Well,
I don't know. Give me somebody.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, that might be a little bit more. Anyway, neither Duke, Michigan. Didn't you see Reese Davis earlier today? You're going to this Michigan Duke game tomorrow night. Didn't you see some of these folks in D.C.?
I think I walked past Reese Davis in a hotel lobby. I got to hang out with Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg today.
Reese Davis's hair is immaculate.
Trust me,
I tell.
I look way more
time
like Seth Greenberg, but I pray to be Reese Davis.
He remembers every time he sees me, he makes a point to say, make sure you save me a plate of Stamies in Greensboro. I go, all right, got it. Barbecue joint down that way. If we hung out in Greensboro or in the Triad, it's where I would have taken you.
I've been in Greensboro.
I think we might take our boss man, to our guy Armin, to Stamies on the way to the second Duke Carolina game. Figure
like
out a way to make
Greensboro.
it happen.
My Greensboro experience will never be topped, though, so that's the problem. I can't go back.
Wrestling?
Sting's last match. It'll never be topped.
Neither Duke, Michigan, nor Houston, Arizona are the biggest game of this giant sports weekend. We'll tell you what is and get into it next on Westwood One Sports Night.
The Colts have a QB decision to make. Cut, trade, or keep Anthony Richardson. Will the former number 3 overall pick be looking for a new home? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
What a sports weekend we have in front of us. Thanks for starting your sports weekend right here. Talking about 4 versus 2, 3 versus 1 in college basketball on Saturday. And then the main event is Sunday morning, 8:10 Eastern Time. The United States facing Canada for Olympic gold in men's hockey. That's the signature event of these Olympic Games. Decades from now, when we remember the 2026 Milan, Italy Olympics, the Winter Olympics of this year, the first thing we're going to think about is what happens in this game. The biggest stars in Milan are the NHL players. The NHL players, after not being allowed to participate the last few Olympic Games, they're back. And with them being back, the level of play is heightened significantly. And also the star power. Just look at these rosters. Connor McDavid and Nate McKinnon lead the NHL in points right now. They're on the Canadian side, facing Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews and the Kachucks. In fact, Kachuk had a goal earlier today. Was this Brady Kachuk that had this goal? Brady Kachuk. This is courtesy of NBC Kenny Albert on the call. This is how it sounded. That Freebird hits so hard. Every single time they score and Freebird plays. Oh! Hook it into my veins. But there are injury concerns. Did you get any information on this, D-Day? Tage Thompson, he opened scoring. Great Buffalo Sabres scorer. Great goal. He didn't return for the third period. How concerned are we about his status for the gold medal game?
Mildly, there's been nothing of note on whether or not he'll be good to go on Sunday, but I have a feeling hockey players, you know how it goes. Gold medal game, I think he'll be okay.
Sidney Crosby.
Yuck.
Same thought for him. Like, do we know? He missed today's game. Mm-hmm.
There might be more
we'll
danger with him.
We'll see. 8:10 Sunday morning. The reason it's 8:10 on Sunday, by the way, when today started a little past 3 o'clock and the other semifinal was around 1 in the afternoon, it's because this is literally the final event of the Milan Winter Games. The closing ceremony is a few hours after the game ends. So this is the headliner. Plain and simple. And if history is any indicator, it should be an incredible gold medal match. The last time the United States faced Canada, the Four Nations face-off last year, you had the slugfest with all the actual fighting. Will we get any of that in the games with Tom Wilson on the Canadian side and the Kachucks? Gonna be some bad blood there. The Canadians, they won the championship rematch. They got the last laugh at the Four Nations. But of course, the game goes to overtime. And to take it up another notch, the best player in hockey, Connor McDavid, scored the winner. The last time the NHL players were in the Olympic Games, it was 2010. The U.S. met Canada. It was a historic, iconic gold medal game. Zach Parise tied it late. Sidney Crosby had the golden goal for the gold medal. Overtime winner. Setting the scene, the Americans, they're seeking their first gold medal since the Miracle on Ice in 1980. Sunday's date is February 22nd. The date that the Americans beat the Russians in the semifinal of 1980, Lake Placid. February 22nd, 1980. So Sunday's the 46th anniversary of that historic upset. This is the third time the U.S. has met the Canadians in the final. The other time before 2010 was 2002. But the United States, they're going to win. You know, if we have Freebird, hit it. Because you can call this a homer pick if you like, but it's not. After a hot start in this tournament, the Canadians, they've been flirting with disaster. They've been flirting with L's. 3 straight one-score games, including overtime in the last 2. Meanwhile, the United States, can you look better than the United States has the last 4 games? Winning by a combined margin of 18-4 this week. The United States making it happen Sunday. There you go. Make sure, if you haven't already, you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, Westwood One Sports Night. Seeing some folks suggest that we should talk about Wake Forest basketball since I'm based in Winston-Salem. All I got to say about Wake Forest basketball right now, Blazin' Hayton, 9709, is that Steve Forbes, one of my favorite basketball coaches in the country, and he isn't having a good year. Wake Forest last decade, completely irrelevant. I was listening to Brad Evans earlier tonight talking about Wake Forest basketball when they were humming with Chris Paul, number 1 in the country. Completely irrelevant last decade. And Steve Forbes has had good teams this decade. Now he has a bad team. I'm of the belief if you're not a blue blood and you have a good coach, generally don't fire good coaches. Oh, but he hasn't been to the tournament. Brad Brownell. Watched them earlier this week in person. I don't think he went to the tournament his first 6 years at Clemson. That guy's a really good coach. They're going to be in the tournament. Leonard Hamilton. Did you ever deal with Coach Ham at Florida State, D-Day? Love that guy. He seems to be an ultimate media darling, anybody who's ever dealt with him. He didn't make the NCAA tournament his first 8 years. Or do you associate Coach Ham with Washington Wizards days of old, since he was the head coach there prior to becoming. I mean, he was MJ's head coach, wasn't he?
We do not hold him or any Wizards coach, for that matter, in that high regard during the past 50 years.
Yeah. We see you out there as well. Pine Needle and all the folks who are watching on YouTube. Good to shout those folks out from time to time. However, and wherever you're listening or watching, greatly appreciate that. Are you going to tailgate for this on Sunday morning? Are you going to be up at 8:10, ready to go after going to Michigan Duke on Saturday night?
Yeah, I'll be awake. What do you do?
Yeah.
What's your tailgating situation looking like? You're just going to go out in the driveway?
I might grill. Went to Costco today. Got a bunch of ground beef. Might start grilling some burgers at 7 a.m. Might do that.
You could have a breakfast
Maybe.
burger, a little brunch.
You know, I want to give you a moment. D-Day, it almost should be a segment. D-Day on the NBA, where you're hot on some things. And, maybe it's the Wizards, Alondas Williams. I mean, your Wizards win on consecutive nights against the Pacers. Alondas Williams. Hey, you want thoughts on Wake basketball? Alondas Williams, ACC Player of the Year a few years ago at Wake.
I do not. I reject that, actually.
No, you didn't want the Wizards to win the last two nights.
I mean, if Adam Silver had an ethical bone in his body and wanted to uphold the moral standard that he falsely claims that he has, he would actually just give the Wizards the number 1 overall pick, because they tried the past 2 games and they won. They're tanking, but ethically tanking. So if he really was about the action that he claims to be, he would just give them the number 1 overall pick and really punish Indiana for being as putrid as they are.
Correct.
But he's a fraud, and he won't do that.
And he is very bony, though. I don't know if there's an ethical bone, but he does seem very bony. Very skeleton-like.
Ghoulish.
Real quickly.
Yeah.
You wanted to get into this Darius Garland story. What most interests you about Darius Garland?
Well, Darius Garland said to Mark Spears of ESPN, I think it's ESPN still, he said to Mark Spears, I didn't think I was going to like L.A., and then I came out to L.A., and I got to experience what L.A. was. And this is a tale as old as time. You have a guy that had been stuck in the middle of the country. And there's some good things in the middle of the country, Josh, but there's not a lot of good things in the middle of the country. And he was stuck in the middle of the country. Then move there. He was stuck in the middle of the country. And he said, I'm going to leave the middle of the country. And he'd be like, wow, it's sunny all the time. Like, this is really nice. Oh, is that a nice body of water over there? Oh, this is really nice. He loves L.A.
Yeah. Did he go to the Waffle and have the best meal of his life on Sunset? Is that what he did? Maybe.
I mean, he could. He gets paid well enough. You don't love the middle of the country that much.
I've spent a lot of time in the middle of the country. I have no problem.
You know what happened after that? You left. And you went back to a coast where it's much better.
I was born. Home's home. I was born here. I was born in Maryland, but I spent my entire life here. Home's home.
Yeah, the coasts are better than the middle. That just is what it is.
See, I find that very happy people have a lot of space to maneuver around. They tend to be happier people, the people that have more land. And out in the middle of the country, they have more land and generally more space. And that means there's a chance they're more happy. So, shout out to the folks that have a lot of real estate, a lot of acres, a lot of land. We shout those folks out. In terms of being a basketball player out that way, maybe not great, but then Indiana folks are going to be all mad at you when they claim falsely that they're the hoop state. Graham's gambling. What are we betting on when it comes to Duke, Michigan? I got 3 bets for that. Next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
I'm close to banning I Love LA by Randy Newman from playing on this show. Just to spite all the board ops in the building in Culver City, looking at you, George, and Mondo, and yes, you, Oliver. I'm looking at you as well. How many other Dodger fans are there besides you three? Is it everybody?
I would imagine so. I actually haven't figured that out, but yeah, I'd say it's predominantly, Dodger fans here, of course.
Mike Martinez loves college baseball. Does he love Dodger baseball?
I think I've seen him in Dodgers gear before, so I'd imagine so. If he likes college baseball, I assume he likes the big leagues too.
You do understand why we all hate you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, I recommend being a Dodger fan to everyone. So, if you'd like to transition, let me know. But, yeah, no, I get it.
I wouldn't recommend that because I think it teaches bad lessons to people unlike you who grew up out that way, who adopted the team, and are old enough to remember when you weren't winning World Series every single year. They went, 30 years? You're talking about 88 to 2018? 32 years. Sorry, to 2020. They lost to the Red Sox in 18. That's my bad. You've experienced the loss and having to go through it. I think as somebody who's the father of a 15-month-old kid, I have one rule in my house. I'm not going to extend this to the Dodgers, but the rule that I have in sports when it comes to my son, he can't be a Yankee fan. That's it.
That's fair.
He can root for whatever sports team he wants. Can't root for the Yankees. And it's because of the concept of, all right, there's an entitlement to winning that I think there are lessons you can learn from rooting for a team that's bad. That's what I'm trying to say. So no, don't lure people over to the Dodgers where, they're only good and that's all that you know, and then you become entitled to where that's all you expect. No, I think what makes sports great is rooting for a team that isn't good and then experiencing it when it happens. I can't imagine, D-Day, you're not a huge baseball guy, but 2019 Nats, if you're a DC baseball fan, that's awesome because they're not used to being great. And then the Capitals, we remember how awful they were in the early 2000s before Ovechkin arrived, and then they win the Stanley Cup and all the suck. And then the playoff heartbreak at the early part of last decade, it makes winning all the more better, doesn't it?
I don't know. What is this? You're not a big baseball guy. I'm a Nats guy. What are you talking about?
Just, man, maybe it's just the vibe that Linnell gives off, where maybe I'm thinking about
Well, he's
him
a diehard
and
Dodger fan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's a diehard Dodger fan. He was not on
the
the Nationals. Los Doyers.
The Los Doyers. The Doyers.
Los Doyers. I understand what you're saying. I'm dealing with that with the football team. They suck. And it's very tough.
I'm an Orioles fan.
Well, not quite the same, but close enough.
They lost 100 games back-to-back years 5 years ago.
Yeah, but football.
But then when we win 100 games in 23 and we win the division over the Yankees, it's one of the best moments of my life. Imagine if they win the World Series. I get giddy just thinking about it. So no, I don't accept any of this recruitment. Oh, everybody should be a Dodger fan. No! How about we hand out some picks? I will. I will do that. How about we hand out some picks and Graham's gambling?
Sitting back, count money all day,
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Okay. Duke, Michigan. Handing out 3 bets for it. Duke plus 2.5. 2 best defenses in college basketball. You're going to want those points if things get tight. But we're also going to take Duke money line at plus 130 and Michigan's team total under 76.5. That might be my favorite of the three bets because I think 70 points could win this basketball game. Under 76.5 points for Michigan's team total. That is what I'm doing for this game. And while we're talking totals, are you familiar with what Virginia basketball has been doing this year? In their first year without Tony Bennett in a minute. You been following this at all?
Enlighten me, please.
The best season that a first-year coach is having in college basketball is Ryan Odom at Virginia. They are 14th in the country. They are 23-3. Virginia basketball is no longer, let's dribble the ball until there's 5 seconds on the shot clock, get a shot in the last second, and slow the game down with the slowest pace in the country. Beautiful basketball after all, right? No. They score. And they score a lot. The most recent outing on the road at Georgia Tech, your halftime score was 59-27. Virginia won that game 94-68. They play the Miami Hurricanes, who've also been a fabulous story. Jay Lucas is a first-year coach. They're going to be a tournament team after missing the ACC tournament last year. The bottom three teams in the ACC don't make the tournament. 8.5 points, not touching that. I'm going to take the over 145.5 in this game. That feels low. And speaking of Tony Bennett, they are bringing Tony Bennett back to Charlottesville for this game Saturday. Tony Bennett is going to have his name on the court at JPJ Arena down in Charlottesville. So, Virginia, Miami, over 145.5. And we're going to tail what Ariel Epstein tells us to when it comes to baseball futures. The Rangers to win the AL West at plus 300. The Pirates win total over 76.5. Again, looking at their roster, they did spend a little. They did. And they do got Paul Skeens. And they didn't get rid of Mitch Keller. And they have Brandon Lau from Tampa. And you still have O'Neal Cruz in that lineup who can rake. There's a lot. They did bring in Marcelo Zuna. They made moves. Pittsburgh did. Over 76.5 wins for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're with Ariel Epstein on that as well. Getting to the NFL. The Seattle Seahawks did not pick up Kenneth Walker's franchise tag. They're not going to, is the news this week. All the more reason to believe Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker is going to part with Seattle this offseason. It's amazing how far he's come. I started living in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's home for me now. In 2018, when I arrived here, Kenneth Walker was a young underclassman running back fighting and clawing for playing time, and he wasn't getting as much time as he thought he should. Transfers to Michigan State. That's where he gets noticed. Fabulous season with the Spartans. Was a Heisman candidate for a while there. And he gets noticed enough where he's not a top NFL draft pick, but gets into the NFL, works himself up, and he wins the Super Bowl MVP in Santa Clara a few weeks ago. Gets to win it all. What a story he is. They're not going to give him the franchise tag, though, because they have larger free agent priorities than him. You might not think that if the lens you consume football is fantasy football or betting props, or you just watch the game on Red Zone rather than watch the full 60-minute product. Oh, yeah, what's more important than a quarterback, or after a quarterback? Yeah, a star MVP running back. Come on. But when you look at this defense, other than Witherspoon and Emmanuel, the entire secondary almost needs re-signing. Josh Jobe, free agent. Reek Woolen, free agent. Ty Okada is a depth player, free agent. Drake Thomas in that linebacking core, free agent. It's really hard to find good offensive linemen. They needed Josh Jones to step in there because of injury. He did a nice job. You're going to want to re-sign that guy, free agent. Rashid Shaheed, how big of an ab was that right before the trade deadline? In special teams and an explosive offensive player, free agent. Jake Bobo, impending free agent. And there's more on top of that. But it's a salary cap sport. You can't just be the Dodgers and overpay and buy everyone you want. In the NFL, even if it's for 1 year with the tag, overpaying is going to cost you being able to keep other guys. So in a salary cap sport, you got to make roster management decisions based on positional value. And the reality is, Seattle doesn't value running back enough, wisely, giving credit to that front office led by John Schneider. They don't view it so highly, that position, especially when they have Zach Charbonnet already in the fold and under contract. They like Zach Charbonnet, former UCLA Bruin. Also, Kenneth Walker, he's in a position to get paid. And he should be. We just described his path. That's a guy that now's the time to cash in. You won a Super Bowl, you're an MVP in the Super Bowl, you're a free agent, let's go to free agency and get paid. So if you're Seattle, you go back with Charbonnet and you find a guy to pair him with. Is he going to be as good, the replacement, as Kenneth Walker? We'll see. Because you're the champs and you have, that helps when teams are, players want to do what you just did. And that's going to make you more attractive. And perhaps you can get a good value and land a free agent like Rico Dowdle or Javonte Williams or Travis Etienne. That's probably the next shelf down from Kenneth Walker at the top. Maybe you go below that and take a flyer on Najee Harris or Austin Eckler or J.K. Dobbins or Kenneth Gainwell. And being the champs, those guys may be more incentivized to sign with you. But the three teams that stand out the most, so that's what Seattle's likely going to do. In terms of Kenneth Walker suitors to watch for, the Tennessee Titans. He is a Tennessee native. Tennessee's got a young quarterback, tons of cap space. They've already had an exciting offseason. Brian Daboll, they ran the ball well with the Bills before he got the head coaching job with the Giants. Saquon Barkley had some good years under Brian Daboll. There's a lot to like being in his offense. The Washington Commanders, that's another team looking to capitalize while their quarterback's on a rookie deal. How would that backfield look, D-Day, if you got Kenneth Walker back there with Rodriguez?
I feel pretty good about it. Kenneth Walker, Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, line it up.
Mm-hmm. But the team that I can't write off is the New York Jets. It's gross, but again, if Breece Hall leaves, you know how that organization thinks. It's, we need to get a star. We need to make a splash. Let's get a name at a skill position, a Super Bowl MVP, and outpay everybody else. Let's overpay. Let's be the highest bidder. And if you're Kenneth Walker, you're thinking, am I going to win with the Jets? Maybe not. But this is my time to cash in. And I already won the Super Bowl. And I won the Super Bowl MVP. Now's the time for me to get paid. Now's the time for me to make the Marvel movie after I just won the Oscar. All right? Now's the time for me to get paid. That's what Kenneth Walker might do. But any teams you would add to that? What do you think about the Titans, the Commanders, and the Jets?
That sounds like hell for him.
Depends how much you want to pay me to go to hell.
I mean, he'll be financially set. Like, Washington makes sense because they're going to be a little bit of a bounce back. The Jets is awful. Like, the Jets is where you just go to die.
You would have to overpay significantly. And I'm saying
Breece
that's
Hall
a team
there
that might.
already. Yeah,
Well, I think Breece is a free agent too.
Yeah, but I think they're going to tag him. It's a better
Well, if they
financial.
do, then obviously they're out.
Yeah, it's a better financial decision, I think, for them to tag Breece Hall, not pay $60 million to Kenneth Walker over 40 years. It does feel like Washington, Tennessee, or staying in Seattle would make the most amount of sense.
There are 2 college sports stories, that, believe it or not, despite the fact this is a 4-hour program, we haven't had time to get to yet. Sometimes 4 hours isn't enough. And that's next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Number 4, Arizona. Number 2, Houston. A top 5 showdown with March-level intensity. Tomorrow at 3 Eastern on Westwood One and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Free-for-all Friday behind us, but this is the last call for phone calls. 310-840-4910. A question we'll re-rack. What's your favorite thing about America that Canada doesn't have? 310-840-4910. My first thought's college basketball, and it reminds me I'm very jealous of the two people working on this show. Well, that I get to work with on this show each and every night, and that's Denton Day and Oliver Shack, who's going to be at, let me make sure I get the pronunciation right. Is it like the quarterback of the Saints or Love Shack?
It's like the NBA Hall of Famer. Shaq.
There's an NBA Hall of Famer.
Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq.
With the last name. Oh, Shaq.
Yeah.
Like Shaq and Kobe Shaq. Got it. Okay. Got to make sure I get these things right.
What was the alternative? Because a lot of people get confused with it too. You're definitely not the only one.
Some people might say Shuck, Shaq. I don't know what else it could be.
I've
It's a
gotten
great question you're asking.
I've gotten Shake before.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
People have mispronounced my name before, which is amazing. I don't know what else you would do. It's
Graham?
Josh Graham. Yeah. Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham. It's happening. But anyway, jealous of both you guys because while I'm going to be on from 4 to 7 p.m. and Denton Day is going to be a guest on the Josh Graham Show Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 7 p.m., you guys are both going to college basketball games. See, you're going, D-Day, to Duke in Michigan. That might be the game of the regular season in college basketball if it wasn't the first Duke-Carolina game. Oh, wait, you were at that game too. Not bad on your part. But Mr. Shaq over here
Nice job.
is going to watch a top 10 team in the country, Illinois, face UCLA at Pauley. You get to see the man that we almost gave the Bob Knight Award for best press conference national champion, Mick Cronin, in person. Mick Cronin, see, sometimes 4 hours isn't enough to get to all the topics we want to. Some people view it as, oh, you're just trying to kill time. No, all this is prime ribbed. It's filet mignon, if you will. Trying to maximize here. We didn't get a chance to talk about Mick Cronin giving a 4-minute uninterrupted apology publicly to his player. And he apologized to the media person that asked about Michigan State oh, wait, he didn't do that. No way is that going to happen. Are you kidding?
Classic
Could you
Mick.
imagine? Could you imagine if he was like, you know what? I was a little bit too hard on that reporter. A little bit too rough. Nah. I remember dealing with Mick Cronin for the first time a dozen years ago, and someone saying, hey, this guy's a little, what was the words? that they use. You know how people have they have alternative ways to say that someone's a jerk without saying they're a jerk. Yeah, they're just tough-willed. Yeah, they're just interesting. Yeah.
Passionate.
It was Mick Cronin. I was told this a dozen years ago. He's tightly wound. He's a tightly wound man, Mick Cronin. So are you going to try to get close to Mick Cronin, Oliver Shack, tomorrow? How afraid would you be to ask him a question?
I mean, not too afraid because I'd be looking down on him, but in terms
Whoa!
So maybe not
Whoa!
too afraid, but I'm just
Wow! I didn't see that coming from Oliver Shack. Did you, D-Day?
He got a hook shot there. I'm liking it.
Woo! Unbelievable. Looking down on him.
No.
There's that awful internet meme. I'm not on TikTok, and neither are you, but D-Day, what's the thing that went viral in a bunch of like corporate America places where you had all the girls like in a circle or all the people together and they are like describing their fit? I'm standing up now here in my studio where they do the thing where it's like brunette with a tank top, like where they're describing their thing and they put their hands up and then put their hands down. You know what I'm talking about?
I was not on that side of the internet, so unfortunately
okay.
I do not. I did like your
Anyway.
demonstration, though.
Well, one of the things that a girl was doing to describe herself for the video, she would put her hands up and then put her hands down, and she'd say, 5'3" with an attitude, 5'3" with an attitude. And somebody
I've
found
heard that sound. I didn't know where that was from.
Somebody found that meme and then just said Mick Cronin. And that's all I could think of. When
accurate.
That's it. 5'3" with an attitude. The other college headline we haven't had time for is Joey Aguilar getting rejected by the same state courthouse that said that Diego Pavia can play in Tennessee.
I think that'll
Just
be
make-
changed.
Yeah, Trinidad Chambliss got denied, and then now he's playing. And Joey Aguilar, this is the part you need to check for me. Is he appealing it?
I'm sure.
We can assume. Actually, Joey Aguilar helped hand deliver this helmet that's in my studio right now, this App State helmet. He played quarterback there, and their coach asked to bring it to a set that I was at, and the guy who helped bring it over and hand it to me, Joey Aguilar. So he didn't sign it or anything. That's okay, by the way. Don't know if I need a Joey Aguilar autographed anything, but App State football helmet, Mountaineers. Shout out. So we can assume that he's going to appeal that. And he's probably going to win the appeal because that's how this works.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not finding anything that says he's going to appeal.
That's
I think
that's
the
what
natural
I
thought
saw.
would say that he will.
Getting to the United States and the business they have to take care of Sunday against the Canadians. Are you with me, D-Day, that after Sunday, when the Americans, not if, beat Canada in the gold medal game, this country is officially better than Canada in every single way possible?
Mostly, yeah. We got a caller that said we have the Grand Canyon and Death Valley, I think he said, in California, but like Canada has Banff, and Banff is a 1 seed in natural park or state parks, not state parks, national parks. It's a 1
They don't
seed.
have college basketball there.
Yeah, but Banff is lit. You don't know what Banff is, do you?
I have no idea.
You're not a nature guy.
Do you know what do you mean?
You don't know what
I live
Banff
in one
is?
of the best natural states there. We got mountains and beaches, and I've been all over them in North Carolina. You live in a metropolis, where there's no nature. What are you talking about? I'm not a nature person.
You don't strike me
I'll
as a
fight
nature
you,
guy.
D-Day.
I don't care where you live. You don't strike me as a nature guy. You hike?
The nature boy is from North Carolina.
Do his catchphrase.
Woo!
When was the last time you went on a hike?
You take a hike.
He's Mr. Nature. He can't even answer the question.
I don't know the last time I took a hike. I mean, I live like in the mountains pretty much.
You don't hike.
I took a hike.
You don't
I took a hike
hike.
the last time I went to Boone. I took a hike.
You ain't gotta lie.
Yeah.
You ain't hike. you ain't out there hiking, bro.
Do you know about Bamfa or whatever whatever D-Day just said, Oliver Shack? Do you know what that is?
I have heard of it before. Yes, I know.
Oh.
Banff is crazy.
Yeah, it's like a beautiful landmark in Canada. I have heard of it before.
Is Banff worth the hype? 310-840-4910. Do you know what Banff is? 310-840-4910. Last call for phone calls this week. Banff. How's that spelled?
Banff. Banff. There's probably an M in there somewhere, too.
Is this an
It's beautiful.
acronym?
No. Canadians might not be the best naming of things in the world. I don't know what the name, why it's named Banff, but it's beautiful.
Okay. Can we at least agree that hockey's our sport now if we win on Sunday?
I would.
Ours.
It's been our
We
sport.
devote it. Well, I mean, if the Canadians beat us in the gold medal game and we haven't won gold in 40
We don't have to
years,
lie to ourselves and tell us and say that the gold medal is more important than the Stanley Cup. We don't have to do that. The Stanley Cup is far more important than the gold medal. That's why it's played for every year.
I disagree in this context because most of the players on the team, you might say the best players are from Canada that win it. In this sense, it is our homegrown players beating yours. Our play, and we win the cups. If we win in both men's and women's hockey and we beat them head-to-head in gold medal games, and we win all the Stanley Cups, they got nothing to argue back other than they like the sport more. Essentially, what it becomes is the Dallas Cowboys argument, where it's like, or the Notre Dame argument. Oh, we're never going to win anything in football, but we have more fans, thus that means we're more important. Oh, your fans care more, that just means that you're better even though you don't win anything? Cool. That's what you become. Canada becomes Notre Dame football.
If they really
Canadian
loved their country, though, they wouldn't only play for them every 4 years. They could like all these great players could go play for the Maple Leafs, and they're just deciding not to because they know that America is the hockey country. It's already been taken.
Well, I mean, there also is like a salary cap in that sport, and
So you can buy your loyalty to your country. I mean, you could do that for me. Don't trip. You could pay me a good amount of money, and I'll be a turncoat.
I just don't see the argument Canada has other than Banff when it comes to comparing.
Banff is so lit, bro. Like you don't even understand, literally and physically.
We got bald eagles. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, you're doing a
we've
disservice to America.
We've got McDonald's is from here.
They don't even have real bacon there. That's weird.
I know. We created the cheeseburger. They created poutine. Like we have Kendrick Lamar. They've got Drake.
Is Tim Hortons Canadian or is that Boston?
That's Canadian.
That's
Boston's about Duncan. Duncan's
that's a
their
win.
thing.
Oh, yuck.
I think we officially become hockey country USA. Sunday morning, 8:10, when all across the country they're going to start blaring in every neck of the woods, Freebird. You know what? I go to an 11 a.m. church service, or I usually go to a 9 a.m. Won't be doing that this week. but I plan to be at the 11. And when the Americans win, I want every church in America. You know what? 9 a.m. services too, to be playing this song. I want churches across the country to be playing Freebird as a sign of unity in American culture. Who's with me? How great would that be? Show up wearing your Sunday best, and then the band starts striking up Freebird, and they play the full 10-minute version. We're cutting our... they play at the end. They play it at the end of the sermon. It's like, we're going to cut our sermon short because there's something you guys need to hear on this Sunday. That's Skinnerd. That's what you guys need to hear. Just throwing ideas out here. Spitballing here. You're looking at me funny.
If you play
Skinnerd
Oceans,
do Freebird?
it is Leonard Skinnerd. Oceans is basically the same length, depending on how into it your church gets.
Excellent song, Oceans, no doubt.
Or any
But
Maverick
Freebird?
City Music song.
Nah, the beginning of Freebird does sound like it's on like an organ church. We can make it work. Figure it out. What do we have to put this show to bed?
A controversy in a steakhouse in Australia. Next.
The NFL franchise tag window is open, with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between now and kickoff, we'll tell you what you need to know on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Josh Graham.
Before D-Day puts it to bed, just need your immediate snap reaction to LeBron in the locker room in the last 30 minutes or so after facing Kawhi and the Clippers tonight, saying, quote, "Kawhi is awesome, man. He's the best." This is per Dave McMenamin of ESPN. "He's one of the best players ever. And I could care less about the injuries. There's things you can't control. You can only control the controllables. That guy's awesome." LeBron, what are you up to? What are you doing here? What would you say you're doing here, LeBron?
Team up. Let's do it. You don't even have to move. Stay in the same house. Bronny doesn't have to move.
Because Kawhi isn't a free agent until next year. LeBron's a free agent this summer. Something's going on here.
The real battle of
This
LA.
doesn't-
There's never been a traitor.
Oh, we don't count. Who was that center that played for the Clippers and then didn't play any minutes really for the Lakers? What was that guy's name?
Chris Paul.
You better settle down with that tone over there, D-Day.
Is that not who you were talking about? He's supposed to play for the Lakers, didn't, played for the Clippers.
I said it. I said a center. There was a center.
Oh, you're talking.
that
No,
played.
Chris Kaman does not count. Are you serious?
I didn't think we were gonna bring. I didn't know he was gonna make an appearance tonight. Chris came in on the show.
I mean, God love Chris
But he
Kaman,
did.
but come on.
Tolo writes in on the chat. Banff is in the Canadian Rockies. It's in the province of Alberta.
Thank you,
Oh, so
Tolo.
it's out west.
Yeah, it's out
Thanks.
west. It's basically like on the other side. He said the Canadian Rockies. It's like on the other side of Montana and their
It's
big
hard-
national park, Glacier.
It's hard to respect something that's spelled like that. Banff.
Didn't you tell us like 6 weeks ago about Pfafftown?
Pofftown.
Same thing.
I actually had a babysitter who came over to my house from Pofftown yesterday, watching baby Daniel. And she showed up. She goes to high school in Pofftown. Shout out to the Reagan Raiders. And they were very excited about the viral internet video where all these NFL Pro Bowlers are trying to pronounce Pofftown. Real place. And I would understand if you would laugh at it and you would mock it. I get it. The same thing with Banff. It's kind of like, Shawshank Redemption is one of the greatest movies ever made. But the reason why it didn't really pick up right away is it was titled The Shawshank Redemption. We don't really, first time you hear that title, I don't know if it really hits you like, man, I need to go see The Shawshank Redemption. Let's do it. But now we just know that it's really good. Yeah, Chris Kaman was exactly who I was thinking of. Thank you.
Yeah, LeBron would be a little bit of a bigger deal. Just a
Chris
little
Kaman?
bit. Just a touch. He was an all-star.
Well, he wasn't.
Though.
Was he a traitor though? Would you call him that?
No, because I think when you leave to go to the Lakers, you're looked at as a wise man. Because people look down on the Clippers. So if you do the opposite, you leave the big guy in town to go to the little guy in town. That would make it treacherous, especially if you then beat them in the playoffs.
Understood. Now let's put this show to bed.
So I technically have two stories for you. One of them is going to go a little bit over your head because you're not a Game of Thrones fan. But there is this new account on Twitter that takes on storylines in today's day and age of sports and handles them as if they were going on in Westeros in Game of Thrones, and it's hilarious. Again, you're not a Game of Thrones fan, but to those of the listeners that are Game of Thrones fans, you have to look this up. The story I have for you, though, Josh, is probably a little bit more up your alley. You just said that you had you cooked some steak, Valentine's for the lovely missus last week, had some leftover steak this week. Well, there was a man in Sydney, Australia that tried to pull one over on a steakhouse. He ordered a $600 meal and realized, I don't want to pay for a $600 meal. I can't blame him. I don't want to pay for a $600 meal. His efforts to get out of the meal were a little bit more nefarious, though. He did not do the classic dine and dash, which I would have recommended. He instead he successfully plucked a hair from his armpit and then placed it on the meal, complained to the establishment that there was a hair on his food and that he should not have to pay for the $600 meal. Well, then they looked at the video. Because when it's a $600 meal, like, that's not chump change. And he got caught, hand in armpit, placing armpit hair on the meal, and he had to pay for the $600 meal. 0 stars.
By the way, Chris Kaman was not the center I was thinking of. Because I was thinking of one going from center or going from the Lakers to the Clippers.
Oh, he
and
was
that
the
man
other
was
way.
Ronnie Turiaf. That's who I was thinking of. He did it. And also, Zubats counts too. Zubats was with the Lakers for a few years before a Clipper, and now is he even playing for the Pacers, or the Pacers just going to ride this one out without Zubats playing? He was a trade deadline acquisition. There you go. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Oh, and there's one more. Lamar Odom. He was
on
Clipper.
crack.
He was on crack!
He went the other way, though, I thought. I thought he was Clippers first.
Oh, that is true. He definitely was. But I think he finished his career a Clipper. So he might have gone Clipper, Laker, Clipper.
That's not a betrayal, though. That was desperation.
Got it. And why was he desperate?
He was on crack.
See, I'm just fearful I'm going to get a notification that
I'm going to say, you're in a
Daniel-
room. Like, I'm in an apartment building. I can't do the full Stephen A. impression.
This is my commitment to the bit. This is my commitment to the show. I am interested what you think about this analysis from Pete. Graham's more of a Sam Hauser type gritty, feisty, slap the floor grinder.
What is that in reference to?
I think we were talking. It's a great question. I don't know.
I don't know what that's in. I saw that and I was like, I don't know exactly what he's meaning, unless you played center.
Well, let's strip the context out of it and just get into the point. How do you feel about this assessment?
Is Sam Hauser the guy that wrestled? I like him.
Sam Hauser, was he a wrestler?
Oh, no. I thought isn't there an actor whose name is Hauser? I don't know.
I know Dookie Howser.
Sam Hauser looks like me. He's bald as hell.
Is that the one that went to Virginia?
Played for the Celtics.
Yeah. See, this is... well, he was good with the Celtics.
He did go to Virginia.
There you go.
And Marquette, transfer guy, early in the transfer portal days. Is he still playing? He is now.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, he's still with the Celtics.
Where, I have no idea how we arrived at this point.
You sold my steak story.
What's that?
You just sold the armpit hair in the steak story.
Yeah. What's the best steak you ever had?
St. Elmo's. That's why I keep telling you to go to St. Elmo's when you're in Indianapolis.
Final Four.
Because you got to get the shrimp cocktail sauce. It's going to burn your mouth off, but you got to get the shrimp cocktail sauce at St. Elmo's. It's what they're famous for.
Did you go to the Combine? Is that why you went to St. Elmo's?
No, my college friends do a boys trip, and one of the guys lived there. So we got a silly Airbnb nearby. We just kind of did Indianapolis things. Good coffee there.
Oliver, best steak you ever had?
Mastro's. Had it one time. Fantastic.
Oh, George told me about that place. That's two guys now from L.A. that have told me about that place.
When I moved to Ray, Colorado, population 2,400, first job out of college, I was told, if you want the best steak you've ever had, you have to go to a place called Big Ed's in a place called Bird City, Kansas. It's about an hour and a half drive. Population 435 people. Got to go to Big Ed's. So I did. And I go to Big Ed's. And it's a great sign when they hand you the steak on the plate and the steak is like crawling off the sides of the plate. The steak is bigger than the plate that they handed it to you. And it was amazing. And then I was driving back to Ray, Colorado, hour and a half back, and I noticed something in the distance that in a way I was chasing because I was flying down these plains. It was a tornado.
Sick.
I took a picture of it. It ended up on CNN like within the hour, and it didn't damage anything in the town but one house, and it happened to be my landlord's house that was completely demolished by this tornado. With that in mind, it's going to be a great weekend. Go Duke! Go Team USA! This has been Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.